Good evening, everybody. Technically, I'm still within my start parameters for a normal broadcast, but things are going a little bit things are going a little bit wild over here as far as what I have on my plate. So, this is a little awkward because I was sort of under the impression that I may not be covering Holy Fury until I finished Verona, and Paradox very kindly heard my plaintive cries saying that I was going without Holy Fury and gave me a key. So it is a little, it is a bit of an about face to say we're going to be finishing Verona, and then when I can, I'll pick up Holy Fury in the future and cover that at another time. But I'm very happy that they did that, because it does give me a chance to play this game from the beginning. And because there's a bunch of Black Friday sales still going on, if you have not picked up this game and you're interested in it, you can go to paradoxplaza.com and pick up the game. It's on sale along with a bunch of the other DLC. Seems to be on sale just about everywhere else as well. So if you have been thinking about this game, or if somebody has given you the game, or just generally this has been sitting in your library, a new patch is always a good time to get into it. And I need to decide what's going to happen with Verona, because that was a fun playthrough, and I think you guys would like to see the end of it. So I might make it a series of VODs or vodcasts or something like that. Or I might... Hello, the Lazy Bear. Good to see you. Or I might just do a special stream, on like a weekend or something like that. If you have a particular idea of how you would like to see that be sent off, let me know. But because I'm not going to be given the opportunity to do Holy Fury and then, oh no, never mind, I'm going to play the old patch because I didn't get to do it on release. That's dumb. So we're going to... Because I want to play Holy Fury, I need to start a new game. And so apologies for those of you who are really looking forward to seeing the continuing story of Duke Adamero. But we will save that for another time. Now, in one sense, I know a bit about Holy Fury, and in another sense, I am completely in the dark about this. So this is going to be kind of exciting. The thing that you will notice at the very beginning, and we are going to go right from the start, because I know, especially with like Christmas coming up and all of these things, I definitely know that more people are probably going to be playing this game and coming to the channel than normal. So it's worth mentioning that what I am playing has all of the DLC except the Ruler Designer and Sunset Invasion. And so if you're not playing that, some of this is going to look different. But one of the things that Holy Fury added was Shattered World and Randomized Worlds. Now this is something that's sort of been available in mods for a while, but they've incorporated it as a feature in the game. I've personally never played it as that on its own. And I'm going to mention here too that these two eras here, the early Middle Ages and the Viking Age, come with the Charlemagne and the Old Gods expansion respectively. And I mean, it makes the game last really long. Early Middle Ages basically means you're playing about 700 years of history. Yeah, so if you want sort of the simple, if you don't want to do the tutorial, but you want the simplest way to start the game, you can pick your era. So the early Middle Ages. The early Middle Ages started with the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the early 5th century. The earlier part of this era saw great Germanic and Slavic migrations across Europe, with peoples such as the Goths and the Lombards settling in southern Europe, and Franks settling in Gaul, Saxons crossing the sea and settling in Britain. The Eastern Roman Empire was violently shaken by the pressure from the Goths and the Avars, and fought bitterly against the ancient Persian enemy. The rise of Islam saw the Arabs conquering immense amounts of territory in the Middle East and North Africa, and in India several great dynasties vied for dominance, with the I'm always bad at this. Rashtakutras, rising towards the end of the 8th century. In the steppes, the Khazars grew in power, and in Scandinavia, things were about to change in a way that was to affect the entire continent. The game does recommend, I think it's something like 6 people who you might be interested in. So in this case, there's Charlemagne, Carloman I, Desideratus. These 3 people are very closely tied to each other. Raman I, I believe this is the Abbasids. It actually marks that this isn't only available if you have the Sword of Islam DLC. That is very helpful for me. Al-Mansur, oh wait, maybe he's... Nope, yeah, it's Al-Mansur and then Raman I. My bad. Hey, how you doing? Don. And then Krishna I came with Rajas of India. And if you want, actually, here's an interesting thing. If you guys ever want to know about a particular DLC, if you see a sign, let me know and I will mouse over it. I think it'll be a little distracting if I do that, but you also get all these nice little biographies. So obviously I'm very interested in Charlemagne, son of Pepin the Short and descendant of Charles Martel. Charlemagne, or Karl as his contemporaries called him, became joint king of the Franks with his brother Carloman in 769. After a 2-year power struggle, Carloman suddenly and conveniently fell ill and died, leaving Karl as the sole ruler of the Franks. He then proceeded to make his kingdom greater than ever before, conquering Saxony, Lombardy, and the other lands with equal measures of good strategic planning and ruthlessness. He was eventually crowned Holy Roman Emperor by Pope Leo III, and his descendants were to rule large parts of Europe for a long time to come. So if any of that sounds interesting to you and you have the Charlemagne expansion, you can begin right in the early Middle Ages. Otherwise, you begin in the High Middle Ages, and William the Conqueror is kind of a fun start. It's, I think, what most people think of when they start something like this. But what is the Shattered World and what is the Randomized World? Well, we'll start with Randomized World. Random World seeks to emulate history, albeit in a way that it could have been, rather than the way that it was. Rulers will range from lowly counts to mighty emperors with complex and dynamic de jure structures. Everything from cultures, religions, names, and titles can be dynamically randomized, ensuring a truly unique world each time. I'm curious if it gives you parameters. Oh, that's really neat. So let's take a look and see what happened. Actually doesn't look all that different, to be honest. So, Shattered World. A Shattered World sees every ruler in the world start out on equal footing, either as a count or a duke. A plethora of settings allow you to tailor the experience exactly how you want it, from having a historical setup to a balanced one. Highly recommended for players who enjoy symmetrical starts or who just want to see worlds evolve. Okay, so it hasn't actually, I haven't hit the generate button yet. There we go, so we will hit generate here. Cool. I'm not sure if that name is intended. Hello, Captain Shield. How you doing? My God, look at what happened here. Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. We're not gonna do this on stream, but let's do a quick Shattered World just so you can see the example. Thank you very much for the host, Captain Shield. All right, I think this is a little harder to appreciate. It's definitely really apparent that it's a lot smaller. So the idea here, random count in each de jure duchy will be assigned a duke title. Yeah, and it's definitely neat to see these things like consolidation, casus bellis and such. Anyways, I am going to head back a little bit because I would, as fun as it would be to do these things, I had a specific idea in mind for this playthrough. So again, if you begin and you don't want to get really into the weeds with everything, one of the things I recommend the most, holy crap, what's happening to the stream? I'm losing quite a few frames here. hopefully it'll balance out. But yeah, so one of the things that I can definitely say is that if you just want to get into this game, let's say you only have the base game right now, you know, you can say, okay, I'm going to play High Middle Ages, just pick one of the 6, unless you specifically have a figure from history that you want to do, and just have fun with it. Because I think the biggest thing about a game like this, the deal is for a Paradox game, is that there's always going to be a bit of a learning curve. Some of the newer ones have a less steep learning curve, or at least you will have a little bit more fun while you're learning. Some of the older ones, Paradox is still figuring out how to do these sorts of things. So the thing is that if you give it the time, it will be something that absolutely consumes you. What are you nervous about, Captain Shield? Work is still needling away at me, but I'm very happy to be playing Holy Fury. So I'm going to enjoy fantasy worlds over the world of the common day. But yeah, so I tend to say, you know, a lot of people will say things along the lines of like, you know, oh, start in the UK, start in Ireland or something like that. It's a good starting area. And they're not wrong. Like, there are some things that will be, there will be some things that are a little more straightforward for you if you do that. But I think it will be much more enjoyable if you particularly have something in history that you like. I think that's going to push I think you're going to be able to sustain the pain period of learning the game a little bit more if you're doing something that you're already interested in, rather than trying to hit somebody else's ideal of what the game should be like. So anyways, I'm going to do custom game setup. So I havered a little bit. So Holy Fury, as the title might suggest, is all about, you know, religious war. And there's a bunch of really cool mechanics that have been added inside the game. I don't know all of them. And it's actually really well balanced so for some of the patches, it's sometimes been, okay, you have to play this particular thing because they're ridiculously powerful and it's so much fun to do. And it definitely feels like pagans get a lot of fun things to do, and so I really thought about doing a pagan playthrough, but I had a particular idea in mind. And the other thing, I also really wanted to kind of continue on with this idea of starting as a count, and especially because I know there's a couple of people who have recently gotten the game who are part of the audience who would like to see a start from the beginning. I did decide that I was going to do a Western or feudal power. So I've limited myself. I've said, okay, I'm going to do a count for sure. I want to make sure that I'm Catholic, and then I want to try and find a way of being small and being able to push my interest forwards. I don't seem to be able to zoom in the map with this mouse anymore. This is a little inconvenient, but what I am going to... Well, good luck to it, to you, Captain Shield. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to be a count, and what I've decided is I'm going to be a count in France, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the border so I can potentially be French Caesar and conquer... Well, I can't conquer Gaul, but I can basically try and enrich myself off of pagan lands, or perhaps I will turn on my fellow Frenchmen. So looks like we've got Count Hardad of Marinsburg. Yeah. Yeah, I really do want to be at a count, so it doesn't seem to be too easy, so we'll run with that. We'll just make sure that there's nothing weird. So yeah, we've got Slavs to the right of me, Germans to the top, Catholics in all the right places. And I will be a a German 2 steps removed from Charlemagne, looking to make a name for himself by conquering the unbelievers. So, if you are... Hang on. Oh, I see. I guess you can, like, enable and disable... Yeah, so where I am right now, it's saying, hey, you probably want Legacy of Rome, Sons of Abraham, Charlemagne, Way of Life. That's really... I actually like that they've included this. So I know these icons were here before, I just never saw the recommendations before. So in this case, it's saying, is like, okay, you know, don't worry so much about China. You know, you're in Europe, friend. But anyways, let's jump in. I'm taking a little bit too long. All right, well, that's no good. Let's... Gotta do... Iron Man mode. Obviously, I did custom games so that I can pick whatever ruler I want. I don't normally like messing around with these things here. I usually just go for historical and I start. This doesn't mean that there isn't anything... Oh, that's neat, Lazy Bear. I did want to be... I pretty specific... So the reason I wanted to be a French count is just... It wasn't actually so much the French part, so much as it was a count that was neighboring a bunch of pagan lands. But I might do that on a private playthrough. Thanks for letting me know. Alright, welcome to Crusader Kings 2. In Crusader Kings 2, you play as a succession of medieval rulers from a single dynasty. There is no set goal, but the world is filled with ambitious rivals. Secure more land and increase the power to protect your family. You cannot hold infinite amounts of land yourself. To expand, you will need to rely on vassal rulers. Keep them happy with titles and gifts, lest they decide to revolt. The game will end in 1452 if your line can stay in power that long. As a ruler, your first priority is to secure an heir. If you do not have a legitimate heir when your character dies, the game will end. Other pressing matters appear in the alerts along the top of the screen. Crusader Kings 2 is a pausable real-time game. This means that you can issue commands both while the game is paused and when the clock is running. To pause or unpause the game, click the date in the upper right corner and press the spacebar. Use the plus and minus symbols to speed up time or to slow it down. Crusader Kings 2 takes place on a fully 3D map. You can zoom in and out using your mouse scroll wheel. Mine's broken, but I did order a new one today, so... Holding down the scroll wheel and moving your mouse lets you pan. You can always reset the map by pressing backspace. So, on top of that, the game also gives you a little bit of a summary in terms of who you are, because as the game has grown, there's lots of different options, and that some of them have different play styles. So, we're German, which gives us no special features. We are a feudal German, so feudal government revolves around the oath between the liege and the vassal, and feudal lords can only directly own so many holdings before they start to rely on vassals, whose loyalty may vary. There are several succession laws to pick between, each with its own merits. Centralization law controls the minimum size of your domain, the individual holdings that you have, and the number of direct vassals that you can have. If you should convert to a religion in the Muslim group, your government will change to Iqta. Feudal lords can hold castles, fort, and hospital holdings without penalties. They can hold tribal holdings without penalties for counties with my culture. So, German tribal holdings I can, but other cultures I cannot. You can build castle, city, temple, fort, and hospital holdings. We can revoke titles from tribal government vassals of another religion without objections from other vassals. We can move the capital within the same lifetime every 600 months. Tribal government vassals are not included in the vassal limit calculation. Hello, Domi! You might like this because we're starting a brand new game of Crusader Kings 2, so if you have any questions or you want to see how I start playing the game, let me know. And can't grant kingdoms and empires to characters with a government from a different group. Finally, we're Catholic, so Catholicism is one of the oldest branches of Christianity and one that has had the biggest impact on the history of Europe. The formal head of the religion is the Bishop of Rome, the Pope. Catholic bishops must pay a tax to the Pope rather than their secular liege. Catholic rulers can set up anti-popes. The Pope can excommunicate Catholic characters, they can grant divorces, they can grant the invasion casus belli. The Pope can grant claims on titles. The Pope can call for a crusade, which of course is a big deal in Holy Fury. Rulers can order adult unlanded courtiers to take the vows, and there's always a pope, landed or not. No problem, Domi. I will definitely say I'll give you a link to the VOD if you are having trouble starting the game. But definitely take care of your school, and if we'll probably be around when you get back, and if not, well, we'll just have a chance to catch up later. All right, so who are we? What do all of these signs mean? What are we trying to do? Well, we already sort of said at the very beginning what we want to try and do. We've said that I'm going to start as a count, and in this particular case, I'm a French count. I was debating maybe Middle Francia to punch a bit of Bohemia, but oh, hello, Treasury, Bloodlines. Ah, yes. Okay. Nope. This all makes sense. I am going to be having some discovery in terms of some of the new ideas and some of the new features inside of the game. So I know for those of you who are familiar with this already, this is probably going to be very frustrating because obviously I am seeing this all for the first time, but I'm very excited about this. So the one little cheat, I normally like starting with only one county or something like that, but two will do. They're bordering. This guy's a duke, so that won't do. This guy's a king. So yeah, I guess I didn't really need to be French, but I just really liked this idea of sort of three bordering areas. So it's about social psychology. Now you're looking for some data on police brutality and officers killed on duty. Awesome subject for a chill Monday night. I remember being like that in school, though. I like looking up projects like that. My day, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but work is definitely kind of grinding on me a little bit. So I'm trying to use games as something to help restore equilibrium. But I definitely am running into a few delays in terms of some projects coming up. But anyways, so maybe the best place to start is with the most important person in the world, me. Count Hardrad of Marinsburg. There's a few things that we know about Count Hardrad. We know that he is 29. He's got two kids, Gisela and Volkard. So, what is the point of this game? What are we trying to accomplish? Now, if you're interested in scores, the best that I can say is that the game does actually have a formal score, and it will let you know. Still nervous about coming back to school? That must be Captain Shield, and I think he can probably speak for himself, but. You have a deep insight to people's concerns. But yeah, basically, if you're interested in making a number get bigger, this score goes up in basically aligned with your prestige, so your importance and your great works, or your piety. Which of course is tied specifically to the religion that you have, although in my case as a Catholic it will be sort of my good deeds. So you can indeed, Domi. Of course I've got a wife and she's 27, so hopefully we'll be producing a few more. So sort of the first priority has been taken care of. The bloodline is secure. Whether or not I want any more is another question. But there's a few different things that I can try and do. So first things first is to say if I want to make my score go up, I can do that by improving my prestige and my piety. But another way of kind of playing a game like this is to think a little bit about what you want to accomplish. And I sort of said at the beginning, I want to either enrich myself at the expense of my foreign neighbors with the wrong religion, or I want to potentially take advantage of unrest to sort of build myself up as a as a increasingly important member of the Kingdom of Francia. So I'm going to very briefly go over a few of the things on the menu here. You don't really need to know all of it, but it doesn't hurt to have a quick understanding about how this game models people, because this game is all about people, and it's about the individual relationships, whether it's between the vassal and their lord, or your great rival who you'll take down and take the land from. And in this case, you are broken down into a few different stats. You've got your diplomacy, your martial ability, so your ability to kind of command troops on the field, stewardship, so your ability to manage money and titles, intrigue, your ability to sort of do underhanded tasks like spying or blackmail, and state learning. Is it possibly to... I mean, you can threaten them, and they will convert sometimes, but the best way to do that is to you can proselytize, and that will potentially convert either, or you can throw somebody in jail and force them to convert that way too. But yeah, you can proselytize. You can take your court chaplain, and they can proselytize in a foreign land that has the wrong religion. But let's just say that just because you embrace pacifism does not necessarily mean that your neighbors will follow the same rules. So make sure that you're not too attached to your court chaplain if you try that. But yeah, you'll notice this is not a bad little transition, because we've talked about the individual stats that a character has, and these are all mirrored by your council. Your council is full of sort of the important people in your realm who will be doing things for you. So you've got your chancellor, your diplomat, marshal, your general, steward, your steward, your tax collector, your all-around handyman, spy master, who does the spying, and court chaplain. Now, as it turns out, all of these guys suck at their jobs. One of the catches, though, is that because these people are powerful vassals, there's a penalty for me not putting them into important roles on the council. So, even though they're not very good, I think I'm actually going to... I'm going to live with what they've got, because my character's not that good right now anyway. So there's lots of other things that we can take a look at, but basically one of the big things is that when I've talked about how your character gets represented and how these get reflected in terms of your council and such, you can always mouse over to sort of understand what this stuff winds up doing for you. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to take this rough little bit of information, this first glance, and we're going to use it to manage through our first set of priorities, which are at the very top of the screen. I will maybe, just because I did mention prestige and piety, there are a couple of other things that are worth knowing. So my wealth, currently 42. Domain, which is 2 out of 3 holdings. One of the reasons for that is that my stewardship is so low. So in this case, I'm really just kind of getting the base... I'm really just getting the base value of my my domain, and then whatever comes from my legal system. It also tells me how many, basically how many sort of vassals that I have. In this case, this is specifically the realm size, so it's basically it's personal holdings as well as the holdings of people that I quote-unquote control. This is maybe, out of everything on this bar, this is the least important, but basically these are your worldly possessions with which you can convince people to do things. Your great works, your good works, and your personal holdings. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through these important decisions. So one of the things that we might do is say, hey, we can recruit a court physician. So there's lots of different options for us. We can do everything from, closing the gates when there's a plague and letting the civilian population fend for themselves, to expelling the Jews and not paying back our debts. But you can't necessarily do all of them. In this particular case, it'll tell you the conditions of each of these options, and I'm not important enough to be able to actually make such a decision like this, nor would I want to. So in this particular case, I am going to hire a court physician, because that'll also hopefully get somebody who's reasonably good at medicine and just generally a little bit better than my counsel. So you've sent messengers and scouts out in all directions to scour the realm for a skilled physician that would be willing to take up residence in your court. Word should reach you shortly if they manage to find a suitable candidate. Hopefully they will not bring back a quacksalver. I hope I do not have to wait long. Well, this is a System Shock stream, so this is probably going to take forever to do. But yeah, so basically, there's lots of things that you can wind up doing inside here, but the game does tend to let you know if there's something unique to your situation that the game will let you... So if the game thinks that there's something important available to you, it'll let you know. So next up, I need to pick an ambition. So this is just generally, inside of this game, you have lots of individual things that you want to achieve as a player, but you can represent some of those things in terms of your character's ambitions. So some examples. I can create a treasury. So in this case, I want to gather artifacts to put in an empty treasury. There's no bonus that it really gives me on its own, but if I do manage to pick up 2 artifacts, I will gain 1 stewardship, and that'll basically be until, I think that'll be like 5 years or something like that. Oh, actually no, it looks like that's a permanent bonus, and then I gain some prestige for about 5 years. There's make a friend, so everybody wants that. Gain 1 diplomacy, and because I'm popular, I gain a further diplomacy, but for 5 years. Acquire a title. I want to acquire more land and another title, increasing my influence and power in the realm. Now, one question about this is pretty clearly something that I want to do, but the question is whether or not I would actually be able to get it. So we'll maybe see what my relationship with my liege is before I consider that, because my liege probably also wants to expand his holdings. Build a war chest. So in this particular case, this is a certain amount of money that you'll get. It'll give you a bonus to your national tax modifier, and it scales depending on what your role is. So in this case, as a count, I would need to raise 300 wealth, whereas if I was an emperor, I would need to have a treasure of 1,000. So making friends in this game seems really hard. There's a couple of ways you can tilt things in your favor. You can definitely buy friends, but there'll be a few things that we can try. And then finally, there's Groom and Heir. Now, this can potentially be pretty helpful in a few ways. So in this particular case, you get a bonus to your fertility because you're trying to go for a kid. And this is always available this is basically always available as long as you don't have an heir already. So basically, this kid's 7. I'm gonna have to wait another 9 years before they they actually become someone who can inherit the throne. I mean, they can inherit the throne as a child, but that's not desirable. So in this particular case here, on the chance that they die, or just generally so I can get the bonus, I might want to consider going for Groom and Heir, and that will give me a bonus to my fertility as well. Now that also means that I'll potentially have other kids, and I might need to split up the realm, but I don't know. I'm willing to take that risk. So Count Hadred wants to have a child and see them reach adulthood. If Hadred's inheritance law is agnatic, only a male child will fulfill this ambition. Similarly, if Hadred's inheritance law is enatic, only a female child will do. While active fertility is increased 20%, by 20%, and once your child reaches 12 years, you may choose to right-click their portrait and choose to introduce the heir to the realm. So that will become available to us in 5 years. Okay, so we've picked our Groom and Heir. And next, we get to choose our focus as an individual. So you'll notice that there's a reason why I broke everything down in terms of these traits, because really everything tends to revolve around these personality traits. You'll notice stewardship, intrigue, martial, diplomacy, and learning. So I might kind of consider now, well, what are some of my priorities at the moment? It might be that I want to try and invade some neighbors. The other thing that I could potentially say is like, well, I really want to lean into this groom and heir, and maybe I'll focus on family or something like that. Or alternatively, maybe I'll say, well, you know, consolidating my position financially is a little bit more important, and we'll work on that. I definitely have my my own preferences in terms of the types of characters that I choose. We're actually going to hold off on this because I don't think groom and heir, especially given the fact that I already have somebody who's on their way, I don't really feel like holding on to family for the next little while. I might go for it, but there are potentially some other things that I can do, and I don't have enough information now about what my next steps are going to be. So we're going to put this aside, just so we can look at our other alerts, but we'll make sure before we unpause this, we've got this picked. So, special designated title. I mean, so you don't always have to pick a designated region, but if my character becomes incapable, there will be consequences for that. So I think in this case, I'm going to try and pick somebody competent who likes me. And there are not a lot of competent people in my realm, to be completely honest. So I will pick somebody who is a good steward. And then finally, we've got children who need to basically have a focus. So in this case, I'm going to make my, I'm going to wind up marrying off my daughter. So in this case, we will teach her etiquette. Gisela is tutored by counselors and other courtiers, focusing on courteous behavior and etiquette. Common trait outcomes for this focus are playful and indolent. And then, of course, the man of the house, well, future man of the house, we will instill duty. Folkard is tutored by guards and retainers at court, focusing on duty and diligence. A common trait for this focus is conscientious. Okay, so let's take a look at my options right now. I have 2 holdings. Oh yes, it's actually not that Sims is not a terrible way of comparing Domi. So we are part of this duchy. So if I want to expand within, if I want to sort of expand within the duchy itself, actually this is interesting. So apparently, I'm not supposed to have this. If I want to actually take the duchy away, I have to take it from this guy. Will this happen? Well, he's got 529 soldiers. I have less than 529 soldiers. So, unlikely, but you never know. Let's actually see specifically what they have. And again, this isn't necessarily the name of the game was not necessarily to try and put the screws to fellow Frenchmen right away. So definitely a more sort of a better stats than me for sure. If I were to try and take them on, I would need to make sure that they didn't have any allies. They have a non-aggression pact with their spouse, so there's no real worries there. Essentially, what I would need to make sure, my biggest worry would be the fact that his castle will have some kind of a garrison, and it's possible that going to war with him will result in me losing too many men to be able to siege down the province. So, and generally, it's not a great idea to start by attacking somebody who has a bigger title than you. So, what are some of the other things that we can do? Well, one thing I might observe is that I have a county inside of a larger duchy. And then more importantly, it's sort of held by somebody who is of the wrong religion. In this case, they're Slavic. But you can see the problem, which is they have all this territory. And their strength is 1,544. So if I wanted to try and take the territory, you know, I could say, all right, well, yep, holy war for, for this. And if I were so foolish, essentially what would happen is he would take his large army and he would crush me. And if for whatever reason I were to be in a situation where I was beating him, it's also entirely possible that his co-religionists will come and beat the crap out of me. So it's probably not the done thing. And then similarly, ducal conquest on these sorts of things. Again, if I can come up with a great, hang on a second. Yeah, okay. Assuming I could even lose this stuff, which I really can't. Again, I have to deal with the fact that this guy is too strong. So now if he winds up having some kind of a subject or something like that, that's a different story. So what about my neighbors to the south? Where is this? Bohemia. So these guys, oh, they are also Slavs. All right, so this guy's got 560. Looks like it's the same guy too. So if we wanted to try and take it, so he's not independent though, which means I need to go up. And all right, so then there's the High Chief, and we kind of run into the same problem, which is we can say, all right, well, I want this land, holy war, bring your Slavic brothers. And of course, they've got 884 plus anybody else who will be brought in the Holy War. So I'm a little too weak to start gorging myself on these neighboring territories. Last other possible one, and this is a particularly interesting one because he is Germanic, and so I believe these neighbors wouldn't necessarily do anything. But in this case here, I could possibly attempt going after this guy here. I believe I need to move up the chain though, and yeah, because I need to move up against his liege, now I'm taking on 1.37, and I'm in bad shape. So all of this is just a really long way of saying I don't have a direct way of taking territory from someone without a lot of risk. So what are some ways that I'm going to try and mitigate that risk? Well, one, I can try and make my army better. Or number two, I can sort of plan for a big move, and I can hire a large mercenary army. So I should just clarify, in this case it's Slavic religion. In terms of culture, I'm bordering, in this case, the way that the game models it is we've got Saxons to the north, Pomeranians to the east, Bohemians, and Germans. Okay, so basically the idea is, unless I get very lucky, I'm probably not going to just wind up waltzing into one of these territories and taking it for myself. So what I can wind up doing later is hiring some mercenaries. Let's say I go nuts and I decide, I need 3,000 or something like that. Well, that's gonna be costly, but it is within my means. I could even potentially do just something along the lines of, discount, maybe bring in 2K or something along those lines. But again, depending on how many allies show up, there's going to be consequences for that. So, because money is really going to be the way, money is going to be the fastest way I wind up getting an army ready to take on these guys. The decision that I will make is to get a focus on more money-making ventures. And so the choice here would be either business or rulership. So, and it tells you, spends his time and effort trying to govern well, or fraternizes with burghers and merchants seeking to unravel the enigma of gold. And so even though this one gives a higher stewardship rating, this one is a little bit more focused on money, and so we will focus on this one here. This came in the Way of Life expansion, by the way, so if you don't have access to these things, it's not because your game is broken, it's just because this game has lots of DLC and so on. So, by the way, I don't think I said hi to Postman Pat or Foxu, but hi. I know this is going to be tedious for people who are already familiar with the game, but I want to try, especially whenever I'm doing a new start, to be really clear about why I'm making certain decisions. And then I think the commitment I'm going to make is, as best as I can, I will at least keep on a 1 speed at all times, and then we'll speed up and slow down as things go by. So, finally, I need to figure out some things for my court to do. Now, what's great is they've now made it so that the court will have sort of default positions, and so you don't wind up like letting them just sit and waste. What DLCs do I have? All of them except Sunset Invasion and the Ruler Designer Domi. So the way that I started with this game was I got like the Republic, the Old Gods, and I think like Legacy of Rome and Sword of Islam. They were the ones that sort of seemed the most interesting to me. And then I just slowly started filing in DLC as they seemed interesting to me. This game can be quite expensive if you buy everything all at once. But I think if you just like, if you like this game enough that you want to try some new things inside of it, you can either, if it goes on sale or if you have a little pocket money or something like that, you can just pick up another one that'll give you some new mechanics. I don't necessarily think there's a huge benefit to just getting everything all at once, because as you could see in the opening menu, it gives you recommended DLC for certain areas. Jade Dragon is just simply not going to have the same impact on your game in Europe as Way of Life, which is of course going to give every ruler a whole bunch of different options. So, but this is sort of a setup where if you have a question about a given mechanic, I have enough pieces of DLC to mention it. And of course, it's worth mentioning that Paradox did give me a copy of Holy Fury, which is why we were playing it tonight. So, thank you to them. Okay, so what am I going to be doing with my? I can't remember which one's my capital. Right here. What am I going to be doing with my council? Well, there's a few different things that I can think a bit about. I do like this idea of my chancellor performing statecraft. I don't see any reason to fabricate claims on anything other than the duchy. So we're going to keep the chancellor doing his thing. My marshal right now can organize the army, and what this will wind up doing, there's the possibility that they wind up sort of training people while they do this, but I'm actually looking for manpower. And in this case, it will boost the levy size and the reinforcement rate. Now, I don't think that there is a menu here that will directly tell me what the force size is, but we can see that right here. So, total of 438 versus 506. Oh, that's a little surprising. So, I guess I will train troops outside my capital. Hello, the Eyes of Sin. How are you doing? I'm going to continue to administer the realm with my bad steward. The alternative is I can get them to collect taxes. If I wanted to know the most sort of prosperous place to take taxes from, I can just switch to the economy view, and it'll give me a context-sensitive sort of an indicator in terms of, so you'll notice here that it's got tax income because I'm in economy, but if I switch to diplomatic relations, it'll say how much do, oh, it doesn't even say how much do they like you. This is a bad example. There we go, opinion. You'll notice here that my liege doesn't think too much of me at the moment. So I'm not crazy about the fact that there's an even chance that the domain will be improved or smugglers will enter it, but that's the steward I've got, so I'm going to live with it. My spy master, now I can send them off to study technology, but in this case I'm just going to keep them scheming. And in this case it's going to be sort of a protective measure against plots, but of course the reality is that this intrigue skill is not great. So I have a feeling that I'm probably going to wind up getting... I'm not going to rely on my spy master, let's say. And then finally we've got the court chaplain. So one of the reasons why I like to keep hunting apostates here is that it gives me a sort of a monthly piety bonus, which of course is related to the score. If I wanted, I could proselytize, I could research cultural tech. There's lots of things that you can get these people to do here, but in this case, you'll notice that I'm sticking with the default options except for the one that will get me improvement towards my army. The other possibility that I can allow for is administer realm. So collecting taxes will obviously give me a direct bonus towards my income. But notice here where I've got a 5.5% chance of these two possibilities occurring. If I go to collect taxes, there's about a 3 1/3% chance of a special tithe, and then a 1 in 4 chance that the peasants attack the steward. I'm not really going to be constructing things, and there's not a huge reason for me to do this investment in technology yet. So this is not necessarily the best option so much, or like it's not the option that I'm like, I need to do this so much as it is, I don't want the other options to, to potentially trigger. So that's going to be the story of the next little while. We're going to be amassing wealth so that we can get a big army and we can conquer whatever lands we see the most worthy of our attention. And of course, the music's going to get very exciting as we finally unpause. Okay. Karl Carling has transferred vassal contract of Hermeld Hermandes to Roding. Your spy master, Bishop Hesso, reports that a heretical sorcerer has been caught and jailed in the city of Jena. The sorcerer has apparently healed various ailments afflicting other prisoners. Although he is scheduled for execution at noon, you could pardon him and bring him into your employ. So we can say, most unorthodox, but I do need a physician, so I would lose 25 prestige and 25 piety for bringing the sorcerer in, or I can say, I changed my mind, I do not require his services. Wait a minute. So he's Fraticelli. I mean, so I believe the way that this works in the game, 8 is average. But no, we don't need heathens. Is building something that's not supposed to be done in the early game, or just something that wouldn't fit the game that I have right now? Good question, Domi. So basically my options for construction are this. I'll just get these menus done. Transferred vassal con. Okay, so Charlemagne is administering his realm. I can live with that. So basically, here are all the things that I can potentially build, and you'll notice that a lot of them have this little money sign beside it. And essentially, the reason I'm not building at the moment is because I can't afford it. And what I'm eventually going to wind up asking myself is this thing going to generate enough money so that, okay, basically every time that I spend money in this game, I'm going to, well, technically it's not money, I think they say. Oh, at some point it used to say that it isn't actually coins so much, it doesn't matter. Will you get by with negative pi? You can. You definitely can have negative prestige and piety. I just opted not to. So basically, in this game, you'll see all of the costs are listed here. So this ranges from, I think the least expensive would be something like 73.7, and then the most expensive is almost 300. Now, this one I can't build because I don't have the technology of Castle Walls 2. But all of these are going to be relatively expensive. So what I'm eventually going to have to decide, let's say that I want the thing that costs the least and is the fastest to build. Okay, castle fortifications. What does castle fortifications give me? Well, it gives me a fort level of 0.5. This shallow moat surrounding the castle provides another obstacle for attackers to overcome. So the thing is that unless I feel that a half point to my fort level is the most important thing that I can be doing with my gold right now, this isn't really the most convincing thing for me to be spending on, because I'll just spend that money and then it's gone. Alternatively, for the same money, but a longer construction time, I can build castle walls. And what's particularly interesting about this one, can you explain how to use Settled Tribe when playing as a Viking? Bite of Cat, I haven't played a Viking recently enough to be able to actually say I know that, but I know there are a couple of people in here who do know Crusader Kings reasonably well. They may not be here because I have been taking a while to sort of build up the start, but I think the Lazy Bear 21 and Postman Pat _, if they're still around, they might be able to help you out with that question. I'm playing a Christian ruler right now, so the Settled Tribe is something that I wouldn't be able to show you at the moment. It's something I can take a look into later, though. So, Domi, to answer your question, for the same amount of gold, I can get something that will increase my levy size, it will increase my tax income, and it also improves the fort level. So in this case, for a longer period of time, the castle walls are the better option. So one of the ways that I like to think is that right now I get a monthly balance of 169. My income is 211, my expenses are negative 42. So one of the things that I wind up doing early on is I try to put some investments inside of income-producing sort of buildings, so things like castle towns and castle walls and what have you. But there's a potential cost for that, because if I only put my investments inside things that generate wealth and I don't have an army to protect those things, well, now I just become a really attractive target for somebody to take my things from. So in this case, my Duke has approved the title revocation allowed law. All right, so I want to be on bringing swaying Duke Radolf II to your cause. While swaying another character, you will be presented with opportunities to increase their opinion of you. These opportunities can present themselves in many ways, with outcomes being decided by how compatible you are with the character you are swaying. You can only sway one character at a time. All right. Now, I completely forgot about societies. Now, there are fun and nice societies, but this seems to be... it looks like the game has already decided for me, and you know what? I do have a high intrigue, so... I'm having dinner and plenty drinks with Bilchidas tonight. It's lovely, yet what I am most charmed by is Bilchidas herself. Why else would I not immediately stop our conversation, which has slowly begun to touch upon some almost heretical ideas, questioning the salvation of God? If we do not ask questions, why did God make us curious? You think it's a great discussion, fueled by alcohol or not? So you'll see the consequences for that choice in a little bit, but this is something that came in through Monks and Mystics. Walking through the palisades of my castle, I am joined by Countess Bilchidas. I find myself agreeing a lot with the concepts that she presents. The futility of prayer particularly resonates with me. Suddenly she turns to me and presses a small leather pouch into my hand. My lord, will you carry this with you for protection? I will keep it hidden. Thank you. You encourage the advances made by the Countess. What if I told you that all you have been taught to believe is a lie? Bilchidas continues, throwing a cautious glance around us before pulling up her sleeve, revealing a scar in the shape of a pentagram. God lied to Adam in the Garden of Eden. Reject the tyrant deity and let Satan guide your steps. You truly are a witch, then. Can you bring down my enemies? Yeah. You also have the option, by the way. This is blasphemy! Leave my sight before I call the guards. But ask how we can begin the journey to the forbidden knowledge. We might. If you offer yourself up to Satan, you'll be granted powers God has kept from humans. Fingering the leather pouch in my pocket, I slowly nod. Oh, I think you'll enjoy it, she says with a knowing smile. If there is a chance it'll bring down my enemies, I will. There might be. There's definitely societies inside this. So the societies that are in the game right now, and this has been there are additional ones that have been added with Holy Fury. So you can join the Benedictine and the Dominican orders. If you're smart enough, you can join the Hermetic Society. We are sort of on our way to Lucifer's Own. Somebody's already sort of invited me. And then there are the Wolf Warriors. So consist of the most ferocious men and women fighting for honor and recognition on the battlefield, as well as an ideal of bravery and companionship. In honor of Odin the Allfather, they wear pelts into battle and favor the spear in personal combat. So why can't I join this? Well, in this case, I don't follow the Germanic religion, and I'm not a tribal or a nomad. And then similarly, the champions of Perun, these are for heathen religions. We'll have none of that. It has been some time since Countess Bilchidas was in contact with me. I've been mulling over her words. God told Adam that he would die if he ate the forbidden fruit. God lied, and the priests and the church lie. So we can say their lies hold us back, or why must we always put the needs of other before our own? And if I want, I can lose the charitable trait, but I think that gives me bonus diplomacy. But it does come with a cost at personal combat. Then again, I am craven, so in this case, their lies are meant to hold us back. In fairness, I also played a very devout ruler, but we are looking for power. So here is something that may interest you later on. This is the laws menu. So in this case, we can change our laws. Right now, we've got agnatic, cognatic, gavelkind. This means that men inherit before women. King Karl of West Francia has declared the West Francian Holy War for Navarre on Sultan Abd al-Rahman of the Umayyad Sultanate. And the Lords of West Francia have approved the institution of the title revocation law. So we can say agnatic cognatic is basically if there are no male heirs available, then women are able to inherit. You can actually change it to agnatic, in which case it's only men who are available. So this deals with gender, and then the actual succession kind. Gavelkind basically means that we're splitting up the kingdom. So one thing I tend to notice a lot that people mention is that when I have Gavelkind and I do things like improve my fertility, they're like, what are you doing? Your kingdom's going to get split apart. Yes, sometimes that happens. There are ways around it. And it really, I think, depends a lot on the circumstances. Gavelkind is not the worst government that you can run, but I know a lot of people do tend to dislike it because you're not able to consolidate power as readily. So, buyer beware, I suppose. So there are a few ones that maybe are a little bit more familiar. Probably primogeniture is the most likely one that you'll remember. This is the eldest son inheriting all titles. You'll notice that that's not available because we don't have the legal system for that. There is seniority. In the case of seniority, this is the oldest member of the dynasty. One of the things that's a drawback about this one, so it's nice if you like to consolidate all of your power, but of course the drawback with seniority is that because it's the eldest, they may not always live long enough to be able to change the laws afterwards, and you don't get to make as many decisions with the character as you might have. Elective monarchy, so this would be a little bit like the Holy Roman Empire, but basically people vote for the next ruler. Same can happen under Gavelkind. And then finally there's ultimogeniture, which in this case is the youngest child, which I don't tend to use a lot, so. Yeah, I don't know, Postman Pat, like, I've never been bothered by it. Clearly, I don't go out of my way to, like, keep in Gavelkind as much as I can, but I've never actually felt that it is my first priority to get rid of. There have been some situations where I keep Gavelkind. So I've had... If I'm honest, it's probably 60-40 in terms of games, like the personal ones that I play off stream, where I keep with a Gavelkind, and then I just make sure that either I seize the titles back or I have a structure such that there's sort of one, like basically there's one ruler and then a bunch of like lessers. And I know some of the changes in the game made that a little bit harder to work with, but There have been some ones where I basically go through Gavelkind until I get Primogeniture. And then there are a couple of ones where I've taken Seniority just because there's too many titles that I'd wind up losing. But I don't know, like I sometimes think that's got more of a bad rap than it really deserves. But all right, no worries, Domi. I mean, you've sort of seen the beginning of the setup anyway, and obviously, if you have any questions, I'll still try to be a little bit granular in terms of how I'm setting up the game for the purposes of the VOD. But next time we see you, feel free to speak up, and we'll answer whatever questions that you have. But good luck with your paper. I found some cryptic scrawlings written in blood on my bedroom door this morning. The guards say that they haven't seen anyone enter during the night, and I dare not ask my court chaplain to decipher it. Yet I think I understand. The pentagram, the mark of Lucifer. Of course, the bargain must be struck. You carve a pentagram into your arm, just like the one the Countess showed you. Its bandaged arm with a personal combat skill, -15. This has always been in the game, by the way, but it seems that they've made it a little bit more explicit. In this case, personal combat skill is the measure about how well you perform in duels against other characters, where it is compared to the skill of your opponent in order to decide the outcome. A high skill will also help you survive when leading an army into battle. So obviously my character is not that great because he is Craven. With any luck, the child won't inherit that. Speaking of inheritance, let's go on Medieval Tinder and see if we can find a decent bride. No. The answer is no. We cannot. Well, she might work. I mean, she's a bit older, but I think I'm going to go for that on the chance that the son winds up with some good traits. And then, as far as her, really this is going to be for diplomacy. Brother Hardred, I have received word of your dedication and desire to join the Legion of the True Lord. Await the messenger. To the good scholar Hadred, peace be with you. I have decided to accept your suggestion of a betrothal between Folkard and Euphemia. Okay, actually, let's see what we can do. Okay, de jure duchies. Alright. Nope, there's already betrothal. Drat. Yeah, so the only thing that I never liked about Ultimogeniture is that I tend to wind up with a lot of child rulers, and I don't like it. All right, I might need to wait a little bit on my. I might need to wait a little bit on the daughter's wedding. I've met an intriguing and hypnotically beautiful woman at court. Apparently, this Sybil is a foreign diplomat. I engaged her in conversation for the first time today, and we spoke at length about strategies. I was shocked when she carefully pulled up her sleeve, revealing the mark of Lucifer. You're the messenger. The abjurer smiles. I'm pleased to find you not only a charming man, Hadred, but also one capable of intellectual discourse. The brethren value the pursuit of knowledge, you see, in addition to more earthly pursuits. Her smile turns into a predatory grin as she continues. We'll soon see exactly how committed you are. What do you need me to do? Sybil offers no reply, instead taking you by the hand. Sybil escorts me to my bedchamber. I hesitate upon entering, finding it flooded with light as candles form a circle around my bed. Several hooded figures surround the room, chanting in unison. Fear not, brother. Power and pleasure. These are the gifts of Satan. So I like the sound of that, or I can't do this, I'm a married man. Of course we're going to do it. You partake in the ritual. When I wake up to the cloaked figures are gone and Sybil is lying next to me, a smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. Welcome to Lucifer's Own, Count Hadred, she says. I hold her close, wondering how I will look back on this moment. So I could say a necessary evil, or I wish I'd found you sooner. Of course we'll go for the budding friendship. And I get a cool new Sith outfit. And my wife suspects nothing. Alright. So I'm in a cool evil society. Eventually what you can do, so as you move up through a given society, so currently I'm at Abjurer, so there's two things that you can do. You can attempt to abduct someone. So right now I can only do this to people who are lower than Duke. And then there's also the sacrifice option. So I think they've toned down this power a bit, because it used to be it was almost like you could abduct anyone. And this was a great way for just kind of clearing out all of your... It was better than assassination, I think. But, oh, opportunity knocks. So it looks like this guy's just declared his independence. So he is defending against title revocation. Interesting. Currently revolting against his liege. If that conflict ends, our war will end too. The forces of the liege and any other revolters will be hostile to our armies. Nearby Germanic rulers may ask to join him in defense of the faith. So this is a little too risky. So it would be great if I could try and gobble up this territory, but I have a feeling that... so the problem here is that if his people come to his... Well, see, this is the thing, though. There's really not a lot of help nearby. But the garrison is about the size of my army, so I think we'll unpause it. It's so tempting, though. So I think the biggest thing that keeps me from wanting to try and take this territory away is that it requires one battle, even a battle that I win, to keep me from being able to siege down that province. Your liege, King Karl, has issued a decree calling for the expulsion of all unlanded Jews from the entire realm, citing various grievances committed by them against the crown. I see. Well, I could have tried to borrow money, but obviously I couldn't have known that that was what he was going to try to do. So basically, this is going to be one of these parts where if you are first playing this game, this is probably one of the first points where you begin to wonder, what did I just get myself into? Because we talked a little bit about how I had some things I wanted to do. King Karl of West Francia has created the Duchy of Normandy. We've talked about the things that I want to do, but clearly I am not able to do any of them yet. I am in a situation where the... You know what? We're just going to auto-assign those commanders. So basically it's sort of like, okay, I want to go and I want to invade someone. Why can't I do this? Well, because I'm not strong enough. So what's the next step? Okay, this interests me a lot. So apparently this guy is doing a fair enough job of clobbering his liege. And that's because his liege is... it's because his liege was busy trying to conquer Ostfriesland. So yeah, you say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to invade people. Oh, wait, I'm too weak. Or sometimes it's, I don't have a casus belli, or I don't have any of these things here. One of the things that becomes rewarding about this game, remember, we've got 700 years in which we can do all of the actions that we have. So sometimes it's just a matter of setting things up. And one of the things that makes this game rewarding is that you will have a plan. You will sort of set up all the pieces, and you'll get to watch everything sort of come into the plan will sort of all come together. So one example of something that I might want to try and do. So we've got this good fellow here. So he's got a title that I want, which is the duchy. So you can say usurp title. Okay, well I can't do that because this guy is too powerful. Now, I always thought there was a way that I could create a plot. So I could declare war, but that's for independence, and I want to take the duchy from him. I'm probably making just a dumb and obvious mistake somewhere. Maybe it's only available if nope. Since I came to Thurgan, I've never had a shortage of soldiers reinforcing our troops. Yeah, I always thought you were able to do a plot to usurp the title. Because one of the things that I was looking at here, you know, there's all these barbarian lands that I'm talking about conquering, but obviously they just don't generate that much money. Whereas, you know, this guy's only got one piece of land. Oh wait, that's probably why. Because he, well, doesn't allow for those either. Although that's not within the duchy. It could be because it's the last title that he has that it doesn't do anything. I suppose the thing I could try to do is kill him and then invade with the son, but that's probably that's almost certainly going to be a great way that I wind up really, I can't marry my daughter. Mayor Eberhard approaches you and presents you with a request to buy a small plot of your land in Merisburg. This is a hard decision to take since he promises to pay well for the land. So in this case I would lose prestige, and I would lose half of my castle tax. So let's just take a quick... So I can never remember... There's like an outliner that does the calculation. Ledger. Let me just work this out. So it's going to be for 10 years. Sorry, I've lost my calculator. What was it? Okay. Well, see, this is the big thing about it, though. I can talk about how I get it over time and such, but it does give me access to a big batch of mercenaries. Okay, I am actually, I want to see exactly how this calculation works in the game anyway, so in this case I am going to take it. I think I wind up losing out in this one. I think this is, I believe this is worse than if I waited the 10 years for the gold, but honestly, who wants to wait 10 years for the gold, right? So... Ever since your pursuit of wealth began, you started keeping a close eye on both income and expenses. Your coffers seem to be filled to the brim more often than not. A thriving economy is good for the realm. What would be ideal, of course, is if I try to take the title from my liege and take on the barbarian hordes, but I am definitely not in a spot where I can... Okay, so apparently... Oh yeah, 151. So I'm giving up about point... Okay, so if it really is 0.19 times 12 times 10, that can't be right. So apparently, this is only going to wind up costing me 22... in foregone revenue, 22.8. So apparently I just got a great deal. But my courtier and fellow sister in darkness, Sybil, and I have been discussing a small devotion to Astaroth when she suddenly stood up, stretched, and said, "I'm in the mood for mayhem. Let's dress up and head down to the town. About time. I'll bring my pair of anguish." The tavern was packed when we arrived. Sybil distracted the tavern keeper while I dosed the barrels with tears of Demeter. An hour later, the mood was getting festive. 2 hours later, the crowd had descended into utter madness. The devil knows what they saw while we were offering up the staff to Baldrath. Amusing. On to the next place, Sybil. Gain 100 dark power, and I gain wrath. So, good for Marshall, not so good for intrigue and diplomacy, unfortunately. And we become close friends. Alright, so one of the things I need to think about right now is whether or not I want to try and use this money for an army to conquer something, or whether I want to use it for... or whether or not I want to use it for... building up my infrastructure so that eventually I can hire the army later. I think I'm going to try and save up for the army. I do need to make sure that I have a big surplus though, so. Satan's favor, Abjurer Haldrad. A great and mighty Satan has given us so much, and now it is time for us to offer him a gift in return. Satan craves a soul to serve him in the Dark Realm, and we have found the perfect kind in mind. Capture and sacrifice a servant of God, Abjurer. Accept. Okay, so let's find... Okay, who's my least efficient pope? Or, not bishop. Alright, well... let's try to abduct him. Attempt to abduct and imprison Bishop Hesho of Mesenberg with the help of your brethren Lucifer's own. This will cost me 150 dark power, but I believe if the sacrifice works, we will gain that back. So I have put the word out among my brethren in Lucifer's own. When an opportunity presents itself, the brothers and sisters in Meresberg will attempt to snatch Bishop Hesho and bring him to me in chains. Excellent. This may take a while. So obviously I'm going to lose my Spy Master, but honestly I'm not really losing much, am I? Whoa! Alright, that guy just got on my list. Alright, so let's think a little bit about how... Oh yeah, I said I was going to do 1 speed. So, I rather regret pushing away that message, because that would have told me something useful. So this guy wants to try and take away my title. I still wish I understood why I'm not able to try a plot against his... Try and fabricate the claim then. And in the meantime, because he's now a threat to my holdings, he must leave this world. And now obviously he can potentially throw me in the dungeon for doing this. In the meantime, I'm going to be particularly duplicitous and will try and sway him to make me like me. Hello, Melemony. Is this where you get more expensive video games? How you doing? Are you a Crusader Kings fan, Melemony? So one of the main, I think what I'm going to be focusing on right now with my wealth, I'm actually going to be sitting on it, because if he tries to take my territory, I'm just going to get a big army and make him regret doing that. You've never played CK, still face first into Stellaris, and it smells so sweet. Stellaris is a truly wonderful game, but I don't know. Crusader Kings was my first one, so it is also my great love. What else do I have that I can do? My fellows in Lucifer's Own have informed me that Bishop Hesso plans to travel the realm incognito for a lark, mingling with the common folk. He will only be protected by 2 loyal friends during his little adventure. A great opportunity to have him abducted, if I so wished. Approve the scheme. Yeah. Aha! My competent brethren in Lucifer's Own managed to snap Bishop Hesso from his guards and bring him to me in a sack. Alright, so... Excellent. We will slow things down before I do anything else. We will sacrifice to Satan. No, I said I was going to keep it going, so... Bishop Hesso is your prisoner, and you are a member of Lucifer's Own. You can choose to sacrifice him to Satan. Bishop Hesso of Mersburg dies. This might have repercussions upon my soul. Change bloodline murdered by people by 1. Count Hadrid of Mensburg completes the mission, sacrifice a holy person, and successfully gains 200 dark power. So obviously in this case it's a net of 50, but I do also get rid of a troublesome priest. So, do it. Well, I mean, this is probably bad for me to mention, but it is currently on sale on Paradox Plaza, and I suspect it is also on sale on Humble. So, if you are so inclined, now is not a bad time to pick this up. But of course, there's also going to be Stellaris DLC and such that are coming out relatively soon as well. So I leave it to people to decide what their dollar is best spent on. Bishop Hesso is bound to the altar. He appears to be mumbling prayers through his gag. He is sweating profusely, either due to the heat from the nearby pyres or from fear. His holy vestments hang in tatters already, exposing his chest. As the appointed hour draws near, the chanting of your brethren builds to a crescendo until finally it is time. Plunge my knife into his chest. Duke Radolf II still resists my attempts to establish a solid relationship between us. It is quite infuriating. I wonder what I could do to make him come to his sense faster. I could send a very concise letter. I will just tell him to be my friend, and I cannot be bothered with this right now. Write a letter to Duke Radolf II espousing the benefits of quick and decisive action, hoping it will sway him to your cause. Let's try that. Okay, so let's find a new spy master. So there's currently nobody who's powerful in my realm. So what I'm going to... So I don't need to worry about the vacancy. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do people who are in diplomatic range, people who are willing to join my court, and we'll see. So we have a depressed spy master of Worms, and a bunch of other people who are not able to really beat my existing courtiers, so we'll bring him in. It is brought to your attention that the large garden outside your castle is frankly a mess. Last week, one of your courtiers got lost in that wilderness, and the man did not emerge for 2 days. Tackling the garden problems head-on seems to be an excellent project with which you could improve your stewardship. Time to stretch those green fingers. Alright, so we'll wait for the guy to come in. In the meantime, so it looks like Bishop Theitmar likes me more than the Pope, which means I should be getting more money. My liege, I have bad news from Weimar. My attempts to increase the county levy have been met with nothing but failure, and the reason behind this is Mayor Leopold of Jena. He has been nothing but trouble since I arrived, and has used his wide influence in Weimar to hinder my initiatives. Curse him. You think you spy on affiliate link? I don't think Crusader Kings is available through GOG, though, so in this case I'm saying this purely out of the goodness of my heart. Mind you, if you want to buy something through GOG, do feel free to use that link. Hey, that Cyber channel. Oh, sorry, it's Seabear, isn't it? Just as expected, my letter was well received by Duke Radolf II. He has written me a short message in response to congratulate me for my wisdom and foresight. Good. So he likes me more, but I'm still going to try and kill him. Cyber, thank you. Yeah. At least I remembered after the fact. I'll get better over time. To the most excellent Count Hardred, may you live in harmony and contentment. I accept your gracious invitation and will join your court forthwith. So let's add the depressed spy master to the ranks. Let's also see if we can recruit him into the Brotherhood. Defensive pact opposing Hjorvander Ulfring has been disbanded. Alright, moving right along, let's also see... So he is getting a little bit stronger. We're about even, so... Oh, actually, I'm a little stronger. Young Berthold has finished his education in the ways of faith and learning. It is evident that he has excelled in his studies. I don't know who this guy is, but pleases me. All right. So yeah, obviously, the decision to keep the money in my treasury is the right one because until I neutralize this threat, there's really nothing that I can. There's really nothing that I should be. I should not be spending this money on the chance that I do need to raise a stronger army. Meeting with Engerand, I made sure to only cautiously question the absolute power of his almighty god. Regretfully, it seems that my words only irritated my courtier. From the steely look that he finally gave me, I should probably steer clear from him of him for now. Well, that's a shame. Let's just take a quick look at my existing vassals. I wish I had... Oh, you know what? The characters. So we'll go any here. Search vassals. Who are the highest in treaty? Okay, well, Sybil clearly is already in here. Let's... Oh, I bet I can't recruit him for Satan because he doesn't have any Ugh, that's disgusting. He doesn't have any negative traits. Or any sinful traits. The corruption crept on me so slowly I did not realize what was happening to me before it was too late. What was first the lightest of limbs has now turned into a hideous deformity. When I rub my sore, twisted ankles, I can feel the darkness pulsing just under my skin. I knew power had its price, yet I never anticipated this, and I'm now club-footed, so this is not great for my personal combat skill. But at least we get to abduct people still. Okay, let's see if we can get Ferdinand. You kidding me? I tried to recruit too soon. All right, the fall of the Avars. The Avar Khanate, established in Europe in 567 after the Avars had migrated to the Carpathian Basin from the east. They crushed the Gepids and allied with the Lombards to form a strong realm in the area. For long periods, they alternated between conflict and truce. Now with the Eastern Roman truce with the Eastern Roman Empire, and had close dealings with the Lombard kings. Now, however, this once proud realm has fallen, the area no longer ruled by an Avar dynasty, and shall once again be known by the ancient name of Pannonia. Sic transit gloria mundi. So this is a bit different from Age of Empires in the sense that Age of Empires, as a real-time strategy game, kind of takes the individual military unit is sort of the unit of interest, and you build buildings to be able to build more units, and units collect resources and such. This game, it's sort of the individual person, and specifically the person with a title. So in this case, I'm playing a count in France, who is currently has sworn an oath to Duke Radolf II. Now, Duke Radolf only has one title, and he wants to try and revoke one of my own. So we're currently in a little bit of a tangle over that. I could try and take his son, but actually that would be awesome. But I think because he's a duke, I'm not allowed to do that. Although I could become a seducer and bone his wife. That would actually be amazing, and I am 100% going to do that. Although maybe I'll get some money before I do that. But yeah, so basically in this case, it's a lot more about the individual relationships between people. The combat is actually really abstracted away, but definitely a lot of the same faces show up. So, the morals and the ethics of this channel are perfectly consistent with continuing the bloodline, building a bloodline of heroes and legends to stand the test of time. Together with your gardeners, you've redesigned your castle garden into a more manageable form. You have organized the digging of a small canal system to keep your plants watered. The weeds have been removed, and the hedge maze now actually has an exit. The skeletal remains strewn about the maze's dead ends have also been cleaned out. Hard but rewarding work, and I have learned much. So I gained the gardener trait, but now I'm pretty good at the whole stewardship thing, which is great news because that just gives me more territories that I can claim. So when I want to do that, just pick the seduction focus, but I need to wait at least 3 years before I can start doing that. So, well, I say doing that, but I really mean doing the wife. So I don't have enough piety to try and take... Oh, looks like Carloman died. Natural death on the February 22nd, 771 at the age of 20. So now West Francia is owned entirely by the king. Obviously the king is currently at war with the One True Faith, the other One True Faith. And I'm actually quite content for him to just go ahead and contribute. Looks like, what have we got? So he's currently got 7,000 troops in the field. And they are gonna get their asses kicked. But yeah, so my original intentions were to try and use some extra money to try and take over some of these areas. I think 1.7k is a bit much, but maybe to try and take on the 1.4 might be an idea. Even then, that's a little rich for my blood. But basically, the idea would be to try and conquer some heathens. But the drawback is that right now I have this threat of my liege trying to take away my titles. So what I'm going to do in this particular case is keep the money aside in case I need to do it. Now this will be a very expensive defense of my realm, so this is only a temporary solution. But there are some things that I can do to try and make it a little more friendly to me, let's say. So King Carl of West Francia has inherited the county of Auvergne and other titles from Count Hugh. All right. Lots of things gone here, so a bunch of factions disbanded, it looks like. I usually just wind up passing these over. The thing is that this game, there's so much going on inside of the game that there is, like, you don't want to just ignore everything on the chance that there is something useful to you that comes up. But one of the skills that you can learn in this game, and it's helpful early on, is the ability to just learn what you want to pay attention to and what you don't. There are some things here in terms of, like, there's a little outliner. If you want, you can actually lock it up. I believe there's also a way of marking what counts as a high priority and what counts as a low priority message. And then, as always, right, I'm keeping sort of in the political map, but if I want, I can take a look at the empires, or at least the de jure empires. I can look at the de jure kingdoms. I can take a look at the de jure duchies. So these are the ways that legally things should be set up, but aren't. Recently, I've noticed the pitiful state of my daughter, Gisela. I have recently been informed that the cause of her aches and fatigue is a case of the flu. Sickness and death await us all. Stop pestering me. All right. I was kind of hoping to try and marry her into... Ah, yes, it was the betrothal that I screwed up. No, why not? Political concerns. Well, that's fair. Alright, so let's see if there's something that we can do with... Let's see whose vassals are. This isn't quite the right way to do it. Page 12? Sure, let's try that. Can I do better? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Pepin the Hunchback will not... Yeah, prestige suffers too much. Sultan Abd al-Rahman of the Umayyad Sultanate has accepted King Carl of West Francia's peace offer, so I'm assuming that there's more territory. We won the Holy War for Navarra, so you can see that the territory is expanded. I don't think there's any way that I'm going to be able to get in... Okay, so let's say Pepin... I was trying to think a little bit about how I can work through this, so... Is there a way I can get in that Carling family tree? Is he landed, though? Not really. Yeah, so I think it's a little ambitious to try and move that far up to move that far up the chain. So let's just stick with Dijon. We'll arrange a betrothal. I think this guy's already got a wife, yeah. So we'll arrange a betrothal. And in this case, I'm just trying to get some of my family spread out amongst some of the more powerful families in the kingdom. This is one of the reasons why I want to have more kids. If I can, I'd also like to become a duke as quickly as I can, just so I can wind up getting some of those goodies from King Carl. But to the great Count Hardred, blessings on you and your house. I've decided to accept your suggestion of betrothal. Cool. All right. I didn't realize he had 2 kids. Well, I probably did realize he had 2 kids, and then I just ignored it, but... I do think it's a little weird that I can't see any of the succession... Oh, okay, here we go. I just wanted to see who has claims on some of these titles. So yeah, I mean, I think probably the easiest thing I can do right now is just murder my way through the family tree. So one of the ways that so if you want to try and go this route and murder your way through it, you can find people who might be turn. So we've got a commander here. I can't invite him to the plot right now, but if I want to make friends, I can send gifts. Is this 15 worth it? Well, I'll add 12 to the plot power, but doesn't really bring it any higher. So I don't think I want to do that. The other thing, of course, is that I've got a pretty good spy master, and I could use him to build a spy network. That has some merits, but of course it takes away the it sort of takes away the defensive traits. But you know what? I think we'll go aggressive, and we'll build the spy network inside. At age 10, my daughter has died from a bad case of the flu. Well, so much for the non-aggression pact. Very inconvenient of her to die that way. How's my son? Still age 9, so we will speed things up a bit. Alright, something's happening here. Fate smiles upon me, and my wife is pregnant. So, High Chief Lothar. My attempts to sway Radolf have not been in vain. I am slowly but surely winning over his friendship, but not enough for him to do important decisions, recruit a court physician. This pregnancy has made my wife Marguerite more talkative and cheerful than usual. She never misses the chance to chat with anybody within earshot. Unfortunately, most scholars agree that a pregnant woman should spend as much time as possible resting in a dark room to avoid giving birth to a sickly child. So we could say she should rest, which will give her a lower stewardship in health, or let her have her fun, and this will give a bonus to diplomacy. So the stewardship goes down no matter what. So so what are the things that potentially happen? Well, I mean, it's nice to have a lustful wife. I think in this case I'm going to let her have her fun. The worst that happens is I lose the kid, and I just make sure maybe I'll just try and find another lustful wife. My wife can really never stop chatting with the courtiers and staff. If nothing else, this new habit of hers has made her much more comfortable and skilled at talking. If only we could have some quiet every once in a while. Do I want to try and bring a court physician in? Yeah, why not? Sent messengers and scouts in all directions to scour the realm for skilled physicians that would be willing to take up residence in your court. Word should reach you shortly if they manage to find a suitable candidate. Hopefully they will not bring back a quackslabber. There is a little bit of an argument as to whether or not I should also be building up my my personal holdings. So there is a pretty good argument for me to do something like build castle walls or a city. Shortly after you spread the word that you were seeking the employ of a court physician, a Jewish exile appeared in your court. The exile introduced himself as Piroki of Norberg and explained that he'd served as a physician to many rulers before, and as such offers his services in return for fair pay. So, better than the last guy. He does have the wrong religion, but I will pay him. And what we will now do is I will take my court chaplain and we are going to convert. This is one of these points where I really need a better chancellor. The question is it really worth it? $150 is half of my dark power just to get rid of an inconvenient chancellor. And I don't really have... I did not realize that Dykmar wanted to be a steward. Well, he wanted to be someone important. Wow. Alright, well, here's how we're going to do this. So we're going to change your position. He's going to be my new spy master. Obviously, I'm going to have... This guy is going to just generally be mad at me. Can't exile him, can I? Yeah, so this is going to be the problem. I'm going to have a fairly annoyed... I'm going to have a fairly annoyed but high intrigue character. But... this is kind of a chance to do a bit of a reshuffle and make people happy. Well, not make me happy, but make people a little more effective. So let's take Spy Network. Alright, cool. So history is playing itself out and he's going after Lombardy. What did that do to our troop counts? We're still basically equal and I have the money. So... massive recruitment drive is always good news. This is interesting. So, who is conquering... okay, Silesia is gobbling these guys up. Now, this would be a wonderful opportunity for me to try and gobble up some of my own territory. We could say like a ducal conquest or something like that. But again, the challenge here is that there's a fairly big cost, and it requires one bad battle for me to miss out. So, daughter was born. We'll just move on. And let's get her betrothed nice and early. Manichaean faith, or Manichaean faith triumphant. The adherers of Zoroastrian faith have steadily dwindled to the point where the Manichaean believers are in the majority. This new state of affairs has reduced Zoroastrian faith to a de facto heresy. All former Zoroastrian holy orders are now Manichaean. Bickering of fools does not concern me. So again, I don't really expect much to come out of this, but it's just nice to try and get some family members across the kingdom. Glorious Count Hardred, your wisdom and mercy are legendary. I've decided to accept your suggestion of a betrothal between Helene and Nibelung. Okay. Again, I'm not really convinced the extra 12 is worth it, but I mean, I can send him the gift. Yeah, you know what? Let's give it a shot. My friend and sister in darkness, Sybil, is feeling lascivious and suggested that we might stage an impromptu orgy together, in honor of the Great Serpent, of course. Oh, I've got a Great Serpent for her. What a lovely idea. I'll wear my skin mask. Where am I? Oh yes, the orgy. 3 days of wicked debaucheries conducted by a priapic dwarf from hell. The drugs, the copulation, the succubus with the hypnotic flute, the ritual murder. Was it real? All I know is that Sybil sure knows how to throw a party. I feel great! 100 dark power, and I gain the trait Brawny. Satan's favors abjured Hardrad. The opportunity to strike at the foolish followers of the false gods has presented itself. The priests in Merzburg are ignorant of the true state of the world. Tear down their idols and steal their wealth in the name of Satan. I accept. Alright, so I believe I need to mess around with my existing territory. Disaster! Your fellow member in Lucifer's own Audovera has been caught by court chaplain Amadeus and his men at arms. They spared no time before they burned her at the stake. Don't let that happen to me. Right. They should be able to... Yeah, there we go. Desecrate the temple. Unless it's the wrong one, then that'll just be hilarious. My preparations and plans have been made. A servant has been bribed to leave the side door of the temple in Merzburg open so that I and some faithful servants can enter and do the dark biddings of Satan. Okay. So Silesia is very strong. As I and my group of faithful make our way through the church in Merzburg, I spot a priest tending to their duties in the middle of the night. Kill them, dead men tell no tales, or avoid them. There's no need for extra risk. Yep, we're killing them. Navigating our way through the small church, I and my companions have entered a small room that goes for an inner sanctum. The room contains the sparest possible honorings to God and a scant few decorative idols and relics. The state of this place shows that clearly the clear superiority of our cause. So you can say the relics will be put to better use, my use, or burn it all in the name of Satan. I'll take the 5. I am a cheap follower of Lucifer's own. The night is silent as we exit the church, our foul rites making sure that the holiness of this place is tainted for years to come. Dark deeds done in secret. So I gain another 200 dark power, and the Catholic Church loses 1% of the moral authority. Still trying to think about what I can do about this guy. Pope Stephanus III has died and has been succeeded by Pope Marnius. What has that done to the loyalty? So Theitmar is still... You know what? I really need to get rid of this guy. The use of dark magic has corrupted me. Dark tendrils of Satan's magic have invaded my body, eroding my mind and muscle alike. It is obvious that Satan is keeping me alive, but at what cost? Huh. Alright. This is also going to hurt my fertility, so that's... Well, I've got a way of fixing that, though. So I think I have a couple more years before I can adjust my focus. Alright, now this is going to be a tricky one, but I think it's going to be worth it. A group of craftsmen have come to your court and shown off their work. They present you with fine goods, of which you are sure there would be demand for in the realm. Noticing your interest, the craftsmen ask for some capital to start up a workshop, saying that they lack the funds to do so on their own. So I lose 50 gold, and a workshop gets set up in Mersburg, and begins preparation for producing goods. Alright. So yeah, the big challenge that I'm sort of running into too is I did talk about how I would try and expand my territory at the expense of the sort of the neighboring regions. But of course the drawback here is that if the Slavic religion is doing particularly well, you know, there may be a very large force that comes to chasten me, let's say. So I need to be a little careful about that, but let's see. Perhaps it is time that I ask Duke Radolf II to spend some time with me. It's probably the fastest way for me to gain his trust. I will ask him, and hopefully we will capture him and murder him. Radolf was happy to oblige me. Now that I have some time to spend with him, I am confident that I can convince him of how alike we are, and that he stands only to gain from our friendship. We can finally talk in private. Okay, do the plot now! Radolf and I spent most of our afternoons in Mersburg walking through my beautiful garden. We talked of the most disparate subjects while exploring the little corner of paradise I have carefully crafted during my years of botanical care. They're a lot more tolerable than I thought. This is available because I have the Roth trait. Hopefully you enjoyed being far from the preachers at once, for once. Cynical trait, or I hope you liked your time here. So let's see what kind of a man we're dealing with. He is trusting, wroth, proud. Tricky. He's a falconer. Nothing to really indicate that he is a non-believer, though, so... I think inviting Duke Radolf II to an activity we can do together would help us grow closer, but I'm not entirely sure what kind of activity I should suggest. So a festival? A hunt? Yeah, of course a hunt. So it's this martial skill is actually a bit of a concern, so... Prince Archbishop Raykulf of Koln has created the Archbishopric of Koln. I also, see, I don't know that much about Star Wars lore. Obviously, I know what Palpatine looks like, so I'm going to take everybody's word that that's true for all the Sith. Duke Radolf II thanked me for the invitation to join a hunt, but he does not have the time to join at the moment. Damn it! Probably the best thing for me to hope for is to murder my way through this family tree. I wish it were not so, but... So, he's no longer the king of the Lombards, he is a duke. The Kingdom of Italy. The ancient Lombard kingdom was established in Italy after a long history of migration originating in northern Europe. Along the way, the Lombards themselves have changed, both influencing and becoming influenced by the regions that they have settled. Now it has finally come to pass that the Lombard lands in Italy no longer have a Lombard ruler, and this effectively spells the end of the Kingdom of the Lombards. We shall henceforth speak of the Kingdom of Italy, but the Lombard heritage shall live on. Sic transit gloria mundi. So, this is sort of one of the things that you would expect the AI to do. This is kind of a scripted event for Charlemagne. There's actually a whole sequence of sort of events like this that happen in like if you play as King Carl, you get unique events related to the history. At some point, he's going to try and invade Saxony, I'm assuming. It's one of the reasons I'm a little reluctant to try and go after it in general. But yeah, in this case, taking Italy was... it's actually the first time I've seen the AI do that, but it's about time that it did that too, so... Alright, so another member of Lucifer's Own getting caught. So apparently... I'm curious how powerful the... Wait a minute, I thought it used to say how powerful these various factions were. I guess not anymore? Nope, looks like we've got some troublemakers, so let's just, I'm starting to think that Sybil might fancy me. You think? Make a move. Alright. Oof, that sucks. So actually, those were only the vassals. So I went to Sybil's chamber and gave her a good tumble. It's good to be the count. Yeah, I probably should have planned that out a little bit better, but no harm, no foul. Didn't even put a general in. Shame on me. My liege, my work in Thurgen seems to have come to fruition. By bribing, cajoling, extorting, threatening, and forging documents, I have managed to fabricate a claim on the county of Thurgen, presently held by Duke Radolf II of Thurginia. I leave it to you as to whether or not to use it. Yes, I will. Obviously, that doesn't give me a claim on the duchy, but I'm assuming that's not hard for me to get. So this is going to be pretty delicate. I have everything that I need. I have everything that I need to get this war underway. In fact, let's just switch this all around. So we'll perform statecraft. Actually, you know what? The real way I should handle this is to... So, defensive pact opposing Umar Mulabid has been disbanded. Okay. This is not exactly how I wanted to use this money, but let's take a quick look. This is a pretty wealthy region. So in this case, I'm going to make an investment. So first of all, let's see what his... They're all non-aggression pacts. I'm okay with that. She was into the Great Serpent. Alright, so what I think I'm going to do here, let's go to scheme. So I'm going to borrow... Oh, you know what? We expelled the Jewry, so I may not be able to borrow... Yup. Okay, so the name of the game now is to get as much money as I can in order to hire the mercenary army. If I trigger this now, the problem is that they're probably going to leave before the war is done. It's only one county, so that's not guaranteed. The problem is that it's going to cost me 150 at minimum, which means that, and they're going to cost about 10 a month, so that only gives me a couple of months. And of course, this guy has some money of his own, so... My lover Sybil has just informed me that she is pregnant with my child. Hopefully it is the Antichrist. Adamero of Verona has joined the increased council power. We remember this guy. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll wait until we're at 200 wealth. And then we'll, I think then we'll make the move. I can present him to the court. Alright, let's keep you going down stewardship. Hang on, I thought I could introduce the heir to the realm. Ah, I don't have enough vassals. Okay. Okay, lots of administration within the kingdom. At some point this will become the Holy Roman Empire. This has to. So the real question is whether or not the Bulgarian band will be enough. Since I came to Thurgan, we've never had enough shortage of, yeah. I can only imagine how Sybil must feel, as if being unable to publicly declare our feelings to each other was not enough, she now must lie about the fruit of our love. And it looks like something's happened to her, so... Okay, pregnant, attractive, cool, lustful, yep, all of these are great. Why do you have... why do you have the mask on? Normally this means some kind of horrible disease, so... I must visit her, or it would be too dangerous right now. Oh, of course we'll visit her. I think inviting Duke Radolf II to an activity we can do, we will, as always, invite him to a hunt. Alright, so decision time. Can I get this thing done? I really do like. Duke Radolf gives me a smile as we start walking into the local forest around Marinsburg. I've been waiting for this for a while. Let the hunt begin. Yeah, I think we're not going to leave this to chance. We will, we'll hire mercenaries, we will crush his forces, and we will... I think I'm going to add at least another 8. Hours pass with little to no excitement when suddenly we come across the boar we were looking for. My soldiers look at me, waiting for my orders to wait it out or hunt it down. Wait it out and trap it. Neither of us are particularly good at personal combat, although I could totally kick his ass in a duel. Yeah, so once we're at 208, that'll basically give me a month to let the forces sort of build up. Though the boar fought valiantly, we finally brought the beast down to loud cheers from all our retainers. It has been a good time. We all fought as best as we could. Alright, so it looks like the guy backed out. We'll cancel this plot for now. And you know what? For the difference of 4, I'm just gonna be reckless. So we'll hire these guys. So again, we're gonna take our time to get everything together. A daughter was born to Hardred of the Thurnigan Revolt, and Sybil named Ida. It seems my amorous adventures have resulted in a child. Little Ida is my spitting image. So my wife's definitely going to be really mad about this, so acknowledge her as mine. She'll still be mad and denounce the child. It's legit. Hey, Domi. Sorry to say you was going to sleep, and then coming back, you decided to reward yourself with some quality content for 20 more minutes. Well, I'm glad you're here. So we changed things around a little bit. So the neighboring region, sort of religions are a bit strong for us. Silesia has got 2,000 troops. Bohemia's got 2,000. Saxony has got 2,500. And my liege was sort of trying to take my title from me. So what we did was we hired a bunch of... We fabricated a claim on his holding. We now have a bunch of mercenaries. Now the drawback is I don't have a lot of money to pay with them. As you're about to part ways, Duke Radolf II thanked me profusely for the invitation to the hunt. I can assuredly say that we have grown closer. In the end, all was worth it. So what I'm basically doing here is I am rebelling against my liege. I've hired a bunch of mercenaries, and the plan is that I'm going to run my guys in, absolutely clobber him. Okay, I guess I'll lead the army. I am the best at it, but this may end poorly. Now we're going to be going in with lower morale, but again, these are with mercenaries, so... I mean, in fairness, I did have a child out of, with another woman, and that is why she is mad at me. In the chaos surrounding the Battle of Thüringen, my men cornered Duke Radolf of Thuringia, who's flailing miserably with his flail. I am told the poor man soiled himself as death came to claim him. Duke Radolf II has passed away. I can only hope he remembered me fondly at his last moments. Good riddance. Alright, so we killed him in battle. We're now taking this from the boy. So the real question is whether or not I want to waste the money on the mercenaries to siege the castle. Fate smiles on me, and my wife, Margaret, is pregnant. Only 2 bastards. Oh wait, only 1. Alright, so we'll send them packing. Now again, this is the really tough call here. Disaster! My fellow member of Lucifer's own, Clodio, has been caught by the court chaplain and his warriors. They spared no time before they burned him at the stake. Alright, let's... You know what? We'll assault the castle. There we go. We can lower the vassal levies. So again, the idea here is that these are, like, they're rentals, right? So I don't need to worry about treating them particularly well. In fact, it's in my interest that we get this stuff, done quickly, so we'll recover the morale a bit. Hardred Hraldslang is known as the Lame. But yeah, so like basically the idea here is, well, we'll assault it again. So the idea here is because they were threatening my territory, and I would essentially have to keep a large, I'd have to kind of keep a large reserve on the odd chance that they did try to take my territory from me, or they actually like pulled the trigger on it. Let's go out to special troops. Stop, please. No. Actually, I should be a little more calm. We definitely lost a lot of people doing that, so... Yes, give me the land. Count Hardred the Lame has usurped the county of Thüringen from Thankulf von Thüringen. We won the revolt. So... I can create this duchy. Unfortunately, I need the money. So, to do that. So in this case, I will show my kid off. So, your heir is soon of age, and you can choose to formally introduce him to the vassals of the realm. This can help build trust that will certainly prove useful for the child in the future. You've invited your vassals to partake in a formal introduction of your heir, Folkard. he will have to exchange many pleasantries and act in a very formal way, something that might be tiresome for someone as young as him. However, you have full confidence that he will not disappoint you. They will be here soon. Okay. So of course, reviewing what our goals were over time, originally we wanted to try and get territory from the... what's going on here? Oh yeah, we're still... Actually, this is the capital, so I should be... Should probably be proselytizing in the right place. Because I didn't have enough strength to be able to get the job done. Of course, this is going to change. My army strength now is 9,000 when I'm at full capacity. Satan's favors, Abjured Hardrad. The great and mighty Satan has given us so much, and now it is time for us to offer him a gift in return. Satan craves a soul to serve them in their dark realm, and we have the perfect kind in mind. Capture and sacrifice a powerful ruler, Abjurer. I decline. I don't think I'm going to be able to get... Yes, it is possible that that Charlemagne will... I mean, he is my liege now, so... I should eventually be able to ask him for a title anyway, but... Though my last act of worship has been some time ago, I can still sense an inhuman touch upon my soul whenever I think about what I did. I have become a changed man, and I become deceitful. But yeah, so the original plan was to try and invade sort of neighboring regions with the wrong religion, but my liege sort of forced my hand, and so what I'm going to be doing, first priority now is to rebuild my army. And then the next priority is going to be to try and leverage that advantage in order to take advantage of opportunities as they emerge. If Bohemia gets weak, if Silesia gets weak, if Saxony gets weak, I should be able to run in and claim something for myself. So, how much did my empire grow? So I don't own West Francia. This is actually Charlemagne expanding out. So part of Charlemagne's story, he kind of went rogue and took some territory. Sort of a little bit further west than is historical. But his brother Carloman died, so he inherited the entire kingdom of Francia, and then he declared war on Lombardy. So he sort of took he wound up taking half of what is now Italy. This was Milan until apparently it became something not Milan. But for my purposes, I just now have. I have these two counties. I will eventually try to get the duchy for myself, and then eventually I'd like to try and grab these territories, but this is going to take me a while, so... This character isn't terrible. He's got his own motivations. As Fulkard introduces himself to Baron Gebhard of Hennenberg, he not only presents himself with grace, but also manages to impress Gebhard by skillfully complimenting him. Taught him everything he knows. A group of craftsmen have come to your court and have shown off their work. What happened to the last one that I did? Alright. Probably didn't... That was probably that thing that I turned off unintentionally. So the nice thing about this, and this is one of the nice things about being a sort of a lesser participant, So the deal here is that if any of these guys try to attack me, Charlemagne is going to try and protect me because it's his territory that's being invaded, which gives me the chance to build up my forces to be able to try and take stuff from these guys while still having like a big guy to keep me safe. So let's rank up in Lucifer Zone. I've been cheating on my wife with my sister in darkness. I am making a mockery of the holy institution of marriage. I don't understand how you guys think this is anything but Satan worship. See, if I was a true Satanist, what I would do is I would take the wife of the Holy Roman Emperor and seduce her. Oh, actually we have a lot in common. Deceitful? Well, she's zealous, but... Honored Abjurer Hardrad, I hereby grant you permission to advance to the next rank within Lucifer. Holy crap, I'm boning the High Priestess! I hereby grant you permission to advance to the next rank within Lucifer's own. Signed, High Priestess Sybil. That's why she's got the mask. So, what do I get when I move up? So obviously we've got abduction now, but as I move up, I now have the ability to... So first of all, it gives me a bonus to my stats. I've got higher intrigue. Summon Familiar. So I don't recall exactly what Summon Familiar does now that I think of it. I could find it in the wiki, but sometimes it's fun to just learn this stuff and try it out for yourself. Tainted Touch. So in this case, I can pick someone and I can try to curse them with bad health. And then there's Demonic Possession, and again, in this case, I try to sort of imbue them with a demon, which is a great way of getting rid of troublesome people. So the craftsmen that you funded a couple of years ago have returned to tell you of their success. With your support, they were able to set up their business, and now it's one of the most profitable enterprises in Mersburg. So excellent. Great, more taxes for me, 100 gold, and plus 10% to the city tax. Now I really should be considering building up some infrastructure. Alternatively, of course, I can create the title, but yeah, it's a tough call. Oh, you silly raiders. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so it looks like there's a rebellion going on in the south, but I don't need to worry too much about that. Son was born to Count Hardrad the Lame and Countess Margaret of Mersburg, named Ernick. Alright, so that's a little bit of a problem now. Oh god, it's 3 sons. Twins. Alright, so I have a vassal with a negative opinion of me, which means I can't change the succession law. So now we need to deal with that. Oh, there's a few, actually. Okay, so one of them, it's because he's powerful and he doesn't have a role at court. I should be able to change that. Well, let's deal with this one at a time. So, congratulations, you're now the court chaplain. Please convert. Who else is mad at me? Well, these guys I can basically just bribe. But basically, they're just mad. They're just mad because I haven't been ruling long enough, so we'll wait for this to turn over. My court physician, Pirkoi, is worried about my newborn son. Emek is a feeble little thing, even compared to other infants. Pirkoi says that he may not live to see his first birthday. You must attempt to save him. No, my name is the Lame, Count Hardrad the Lame. That is because I am clubbed-footed due to the satanic energy pulsing within me. But that's fine, because Sybil loves me for who I am, damn it. Also, she is a much better fighter than me. While little Emek is still still appears slightly weaker than other children his age, I swear that he's much more energetic than he was a couple of weeks ago. He may not be out of the woods yet, but the worst is past. Eventually I need to start thinking about... Alright, I've got a betrothal, right? Yes. Okay. Obviously if I die, this is going to be a problem. But I'm going to avoid all the frustrations of trying to... Well, you know... The one thing that can happen, if I make the duchy, it's suddenly not a big deal that the kingdom is divided that way. Does my wife love me for who I am? No. She dislikes me because I legitimized the bastard. She is not attracted to the club-footed, and just generally I'm not very good at diplomacy. My wife... my wife very much does not like me. That is kind of awesome that they keep track of your kills this way now. Alright, so Mayor Leopold apparently is dead? Died of stress. On the day after my birthday. Okay. So first of all, we want to make sure that there's nobody powerful. Okay, so he's going to want... Well, he can become my steward. So now we're going to have to rearrange everything. What are you good at? You're really only good at stewardship. Okay. So, I don't like doing this, but I'm going to make him my new spy master. Because I don't really need to worry about that as much. And I'm going to appoint this mayor as my super steward. And I still don't believe I'll be able to change the law, but that should be one less member of my my court who doesn't hate me. Ripped pillows, broken furniture, shattered vases. My marriage to Margaret has devolved into an unending torment of bitter arguments and fiery rows. I would be depressed, but my lover Sybil has just suggested that we retire to the countryside for a few days of carefree romance and passion. What a splendid idea. Bonus to diplomacy and health. Not quite enough to push me over the edge. Peter of Corsica has created the... Okay, no, we don't need to worry about that. Oh, it's always another mayor who's angry. Okay, so this guy is no longer powerful. So I can fire my chancellor. Okay, so... Congratulations, you're the new chancellor. You're the new spy master. Oh my god, you suck at this. Try not to screw anything up. See, the thing is, he likes me, so he actually brings in money. You already hate those mayors, yeah. I mean, technically I don't need to worry about keeping them happy, but the biggest thing that's going on right now is that I want to make sure that... I actually want to make sure that... I want to make sure that I'm able to switch over the succession law. I mean, so here's the easy way for me to do that. Send gift 15... Send gift 15, so I spend 30 to win these guys over. But surely there is a better... Okay, so this guy doesn't like me, and he doesn't really have any good stats. He's not the same Theitmar. And of course, he's going to get replaced with... he's going to get replaced with a pope by the pope who's going to put somebody... Alright, well... Okay, actually, here's a couple things that we'll do. So, I need to keep the Chancellor because he likes me and he keeps me in money. There's not a lot to... Ooh, maybe we can corrupt him. Oh, nope, I would lose Dark Power... Yeah, not worth it. Okay. So we'll plot to kill him, but while we do that, we'll do the charm offensive. If I can avoid spending money on this... I mean, the other thing that I can do here is I can award honorary titles. But I'm not crazy about the idea of... Oh, can't do that. Well, okay. Cupbearer you become. My lover Sybil has just informed me that she's pregnant with my child. Getting busy. Just sent him on a suicide mission? That's a good point. So yeah, the trick with this guy is because he's bringing me money, I actually want to keep him alive. He's useful to me in that sense. Yeah, I should be able to change that law now. What? Oh, right, Theitmar. Alright, well, congratulations, you're now High Almoner, and... Oh, I can't give you more than one title, that's right. Fate smiles on me and my wife Margaret is pregnant. Do I really want to spend this money? I think I'm gonna wait it out. What's the worst that can happen to me? My lover did not just have a child, she is heavy with child. I agree, Domi. I mean, I haven't even picked the seduction focus yet. I can only imagine how Sybil must feel, as if being unable to publicly declare our feelings for each other was not enough, she must now lie about the fruit of our love. Well, it didn't stop her last time! I'll visit her. Alright. Increased council power in West Francia, independence... I don't like any of these factions. Yeah, none of these are worth it. Disaster! Your fellow member of Lucifer's Own has been caught by the court chaplain and his men-at-arms. Now she rots away in the dungeon. Okay. So in a year I should be able to regain I think I'm willing to wait the 1 year. There can't be that much. Son was born... Alright, there we go. Of course, legitimize him. My wife, negative 90. I am glad she does not have a high intrigue. Of course, the drawback is if this thing... I think if this thing backfires, he winds up hating me, so... I think inviting Bishop Theitmar to an activity we can do together would help us grow closer, but I'm not entirely sure what kind of activity I should suggest. Let's invite him to a banquet. I don't have much diplomacy. Yeah, I think the festival might be a better call. All kinds of sights can be seen as we walk through the streets of Meersburg, masked jugglers and people having fun all around us. I decide to show him the local hedge maze to top it off. I made that hedge maze. By the way, if you guys have any questions about what we're doing right now, do feel free to speak up. At the start we were having fun as we walk through the hedge maze, but at some point I start losing track of where we are. I get to a crossroad and I'm not sure which path I have to take to get us out. So confidently take a path and hope for the best because I'm proud, or be honest and try to raise... Yeah, no, we are... We're going for proud. As many sins as I can get, frankly. Because if you're wondering about how societies work, the dark power I don't just get for doing evil things. I gain it because of my intrigue, which is relatively high. And each sin that I have gives me bonus dark power. So the fact that I'm proud and deceitful is actually good in this group. Several hours pass and we keep walking around the hedge maze, and Theitmar is getting increasingly annoyed at the prospect of spending the night here. Finally, my retainers decide to come look for us and help us out of our way again. That could have been worse, right? I would have got him pregnant in the hedge maze if it, if they didn't stop me. My liege, I have bad news from Weimar. My attempts to increase the county levy have been met with nothing but failure, and the reason behind it is Mayor Geiselbert of Jena. He has been nothing but trouble since I arrived and has used his wide influence in Weimar to hinder all of my initiatives. Okay, well, I dislike him, but he doesn't dislike me, so I'm okay with that. So it would be super cool to build new infrastructure in that, but I definitely want a fancy title, so... As he is growing older, I can see that Fulkard could use some guidance in my experienced areas. It will require hard work, and he may not always be appreciated, but this is my chance to make a self-sacrifice for the sake of Fulkard. So I can make him ambitious, and we become bitter rivals. I can teach him to be thorough, but I will become stressed, or make your move at the right time. He gains the trait patience, and I suffer out of patience for 5 years. Go get your greatness. I will definitely be one of those horrible fathers as the Dark Brotherhood guy. As he readies to leave Meersburg, Theitmar tells me how much fun the festival was. I also feel like we've grown somewhat closer after the incident in the maze. Happy to oblige. All right. We may now institute seniority succession. So, of course, the challenge is that because I have so many sons now. All right, West Frankian claim on Saxony. This is fantastic. I would, in fact, love to declare war myself, but... I could really kick the hornet's nest and try... Oh no, all of these guys. It's a coalition. Fair enough. Oh wait, what did I? Sorry, I'm apparently saying so many horrible things that I don't even remember. I don't even remember what's causing people to say stop. So young Folkhog seems to trust everyone, lacking any notion of evil in man. So I could teach him to be more charitable, or he can only be himself. So he loses the trait affectionate and becomes trusting. Now we'll make him. I guess we'll make him charitable. Yeah, no, I am definitely already a terrible father. I guess I don't really need to kill this bishop anymore. Well, I sort of do. Because of the successive change. Outbreak of disease in the camps and the outside of wall. Oh, people are sieging down my territory. That sucks. Okay. The craftsmen that you funded a couple of years ago have returned to tell you of their success. With your support, they were able to set up their business, and it's now one of the most profitable enterprises in Weimar. Great, more taxes for me. So, let's just get this straight out of the way. I am now a duke. Duke Hadred the Lame has created the Duchy of Thuringia. Alright, in the meantime, I am going to try and kiss the ass of the king. As far as the... Oh, hell yes. Alright, so that's the next daughter taken care of. Who am I gonna marry you off to? He's kind of depressed, that's sad. I'm assuming he's won't be... My what? What? Propose that my wife... I don't think that's right. Wise Scholar Hadred, your wisdom and mercy are legendary. I've decided to accept the betrothal between Ida and Pepin. So... Don't die. To the most excellent Duke Hadred, may you live in harmony and contentment. I reject your insulting suggestion. Pepin will never marry Ida. That's because I doubled that up, so... Oh, is it possible to have affairs? Yes, it is, Ragnus Domi. In fact, characters can have the homosexual trait, which will give them a reduction to fertility. I believe, actually, I can give you the exact details of that mechanic. There's also other, so depending, there's certain, there's also certain actions that you can take in the game that produce that without the status. Let me see if I can find it. King Carl has created the Duchy of Navarra. Where are we? Oh, neat. Okay, so apparently you can get the title Wicked Priest if you have lustful, gluttonous, greedy, wroth, envious, proud, hedonist, homosexual, and possessed. But I'm actually looking for... Okay, there we go. So, opinions. I believe... So it says plus 30 attraction, but I believe that is... Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so... plus 30 attraction, minus 5 vassal opinion, and that's for characters of the same sex, and minus 15% to fertility. That's how they model it as a specific trait in sort of this row, and then there is the then there's the actual individual acts, which usually in the Dark Brotherhood, there can be some cases where it's, you know, oh, I didn't know I like men that way. So Grand Summoning. For some time now, my dear lover and sister in darkness, Sybil, and I have been researching the proper ritual for invoking a certain demon priest. A few weeks back, our brethren managed to procure an ancient clay tablet with the missing incantation. We stand ready to attain powers undreamed of by mortal men.
Unlimited power!
Our coven surrounds the summoning circle, the correct symbols drawn, the fatty candles burning a sickly green. Sybil intones the final invocation, just as I offer up the sacrifice. Distracted by the spurting blood, at first I don't notice the man standing in the circle, like he was there all along. Looking straight at me with a smirk, he says, "Bravely done, child. You have no Sorry, I guess I should try the, homosexuality doesn't give you dark points, although I believe it's associated with some act. So I think, like, if you do the orgy, I believe if you do the orgy, you wind up getting the dark points for that. So, all right.
Bravely done, child. You have no understanding of the forces you are meddling with, but I did find your sacrifice pleasing. Quid pro quo. Name your desire, boy.
Great Lord, I seek power. That's why it's important to have a cup by. Thank you, dummy. Yeah, Captain. Actually, the best one if you do Sean Connery in a cup.
Or perhaps they're wondering why you would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
You get Bane.
Nobody cared who I was before I put on the mask.
Bane in a coffee cup. Or, sorry, Sean Connery in a coffee cup. You get Bane. Alright, so I've got my duchy, which is really just a title, but hey, it's a start. Almost 1,000 troops, which is good. So I think probably what I need to be focusing on now is my economy. And for that, so this will get a lower return. I should be improving this. So the real question here is, I've got 73 right now, and I can wait for the 47 to get my tax income 2, or I can build it now and I'll get my tax income point to. This is the obvious choice. I'm going to build the castle town. Pope Marinus has died and succeeded by Pope Anastasis III. By the way, are they actually going to give me that unlimited power, or was that just oh, Blessing of Belial, Diplomacy +3. Swords for 200. Yeah, so we're just gonna speed this up a bit. Charlemagne's gonna take care of the unwashed masses. Holy crap, he's getting his ass kicked. What happened, Carl? Pope Anastasis III has excommunicated King Carl of West Francia at the behest of Count Theodbert. Holy smokes! What'd this guy do? Oh, that is awesome. He's got a Satanist wife. I mean, I really should not. I really should not be, you know, cheering on, you know, the humbling of my liege. But I mean, I'm a Satanist. I clearly I want to. Clearly, I want to not see the Holy Roman Empire happen, and clearly that's not gonna not going to be a thing now. So I am slightly curious. So Karl's got 6k. These guys, the defensive pack definitely seems to have more than 6k. This is actually very important for me to remember when I... actually, no. This is going to be a huge deal. I need to see... Okay, so this guy is Germanic. These guys are Slavic, so it actually is... Oh wait, no, but it's because they're in a defensive pact. It's not because of the religion. I'm still okay. Everybody lies, and courtiers of Mersburg are no exception. One of them dared to speak up and tell me I'm too cynical and that not everybody lies. Then I knew they all lied. After Berthold told me that not everybody lies, I almost started laughing. I told him that if he could prove that, I would start believing in mankind again. Could happen, right? Berthold loses his opinion of me. 20% chance that I lose the trait cynical. But I don't want to lose that trait. I would like to lose Craven, though. Alright, King Karl. I know you just got excommunicated. To Hildgar of Anjou just usurped the county. Okay. Not my concern. Meeting with King Karl, I made sure to only cautiously question the absolute power of his almighty god. Thankfully, it seems that my carefully chosen words had the desired effect on him. From his glittering eyes, I got the distinct impression that he enjoyed the philosophical aspect of our conversation. Sensible man, Karl. Aww. I've arranged a run-in with King Karl on the palisades of his castle today. His face darkens, and I again attempt to discuss my worldviews. Then I offer him my favorite protection spell, a chicken leg in a leather pouch. I thought it was harmless enough, but he refuses to accept the gift. This has been a wasted effort. Karl is locked in his views. Maybe I should write a letter to King Karl to try to convince him of my good intentions. Yeah, especially after trying to convert him to Satanism. Forthright message is what he needs. King Karl wrote me back informing me that he has taken notice of my interest in his friendship and reciprocates vividly. Wonderful. Don't have much hope for the invasion, though. Yep, it's all Malemene's fault. Okay, so this would be a wonderful opportunity on Bohemia right now. It is not to be, though. So I think what we're going to do right now, I'm not going to build the castle town right away. Things are a bit weak on the Francia side. You know what? He might be able to pull this out with these reinforcements. Oh, sent packing. Get off my land. All right, that not so much. But yeah, so I think what I'm gonna wind up doing is I'm gonna sit on. So it would be nice to get a wealth-producing asset, but if I can take advantage of the disrupt. Wait a minute, I don't have access to Bohemia. I need to take Bamberg first. That's definitely not worth the effort. All right, these guys are a bit too strong, so I need to reconsider. Oh Jesus, these guys can potentially bring up 5,000. Yeah, we need to find a way of breaking up the barbarian kingdoms. Okay, so with that in mind, young Folkard has finished his education in stewardship. I notice with pride that he has attained nothing less than a masterful level of knowledge. So he's Midas touched, which is great. I fulfilled my ambition to groom an heir. He still hates me. So my new ambition, war chest actually would be pretty good. Become the king of Pomerania. That's a great idea, actually. Oh, yeah, that's also... Whew. Yeah. That's a little ambitious, I think. So I can try and create a treasury, try to acquire a title, become a counselor, build a war chest, become exalted among men. Let's try and become a counselor. I'm going to butter up Carl a little bit before I do that. In the meantime, I will build a castle town, because I know I'm not going to have the means of conducting an invasion. Yeah, basically, unless I'm ready to take that on, I accept. You guys are a lot of fun. Yeah, so basically the idea here, in fact, I can probably take my marshal off the recruitment drive. Well, we'll wait till we're at full capacity, then I'll take him off and we can worry about training our commanders. My lover and fellow sister in darkness, Sybil, and I had been discussing a small devotion to Abaddon when she suddenly stood up, stretched, and said, "I'm in the mood for some mayhem. Let's dress up and head down to town. About time, I'll bring my pair of anguish." Wearing nondescript common clothes, Sybil and I are slowly making our way to town in amicable silence. As we pass by a neatly kept garden in front of a cozy-looking house, I am suddenly overcome with hatred and revulsion. This family is clearly favored by God. So... this was actually really unpleasant to do. In this case, I'm going to say keep going, they get to live for now. Let's see what we can... The tavern was packed when we arrived. Sybil distracted the tavern keeper while I dosed the barrels with tears of Demeter. An hour later, the mood was getting festive. 2 hours later, and the crowd had descended into utter madness. Satan knows what they saw while we were offering the staff up to Balberith. Amusing. On to the next place, Sybil? Satan's favors, Conjurer Hardred. An opportunity to strike at the foolish followers of the false gods has presented itself. Their priests in Mulhausen are ignorant to the true state of the world. Tear down their idols and steal their wealth in the name of Satan. Glory to the deceiver. But we were just there. Oh, here we go. My daughter-in-law has just informed me that Count Emmett has tried to recruit her in a scheme to seduce my wife, Margaret. That randy goat. Dead. Would you like to join Satanism? My preparations and plans have been made. A servant has been bribed to leave the side door open in the temple of Mulhausen, so that I and my faithful servants can enter and do the dark biddings of Satan. Wait a minute, eye for an eye, damn it. So negative 100. Oh yeah, because of rivalry. Well, I'm okay with that. Because I'm now going to switch my focus. Oh wait. I should be able to get back. There we go. My preparations and plans have been made. Oh yeah, so off we go. I should bring all my seduction skills to bear on Countess Adalosis until I have her wrapped around my finger. Oh, that's a really good idea, Captain Shield. So I'll take the wife first, then the daughter. I mean, I'll see if I can get the sons, but I don't think it'll turn out, so... as I and my group of my faithful make our way through the church in Malhausen, I spot a priest attending to their duties in the middle of the night. Knock them out from behind, they will make a good sacrifice. Ooh. Who does he pay money to? Sorry, dude. All right, so the court chaplain position's kind of open. Let's find somebody that we can. He's ambitious. This guy's probably a little bit better, so let's invite him in. Absolutely, Captain Shield. Yeah, Count Emic doesn't want to join Satan. That's fine, we knew he was a loser anyway. Navigating our way through the small church, I and my companions have entered a small room that goes for the inner sanctum. The room contains the sparest possible honorings to God and a scant few decorative idols and relics. The state of this place shows the clear superiority of our cause. So I can get... Yeah, I'll get the 5 gold. I'm cheap. How much does Charlemagne like me? Not quite enough, but nice silence as we exit the church, our foul rites making sure that the holiness of this place is tainted for years to come. Alright, so I'm a little curious. So first of all, Charlemagne has got some, or that's me, has got some amazing stats. Maybe not the diplomacy, but... what does council look like, though? Because I have a feeling, you know, level 15... Oh, Jesus, they all hate him. Spy Master. Oh, I can totally do that job better than him. Alright, dark deeds done in secret. Good news. The steward is really good at what they do and they don't like me. Magnificent Duke Hardred, may you live in harmony and contentment. I accept your gracious invitation to join your court forthwith. So, can I actually make him a... Yes, I can. Made sure to attend a minor event in hopes of seducing the Countess, but despite my best attempts, she remains unimpressed. I need more practice, and I'll try and make her like me more. Alright, let's try and ask, so I lose 50 prestige. I think that'll be worth it, though. The answer regarding the position in the Council of King Carlo of West Francia was a definite no. Alright. Maybe I don't want that ambition anymore. While I'm at it, so this guy doesn't really have a reason to be my Chancellor anymore. He's no longer powerful, so you're out. The use of dark magic has corrupted me. The dark tendrils of Satan's magic have invaded my body, eroding my mind and muscle alike. It is obvious that Satan is keeping me alive, but at what cost? Some carefully placed words were there, where they can be easily overheard by notorious gossips can be more effective than a love letter, or so I thought, but my query, the Countess has not responded in any way. I need another tactic. Stupid, unfaithful wife. Alright. I might actually wind up calling it here, because I know I'm a bit late. I'm overtime, and I need to record the rest of the... Elder Scrolls episode. Oh my god! Euphema Babangera has exposed an affair between my wife Margaret and Count Emic. My heart is broken. Into the dungeon. She's now safely locked away in my dungeon, waiting her fate. So I could... Oh yeah, well, no, hang on. 25? Yeah, screw it. Margaret looks dazed as she is dragged to the altar, but you can see the dawning comprehension on her face as she is tied down. You ignore her begging as chants of praise to Satan build to a crescendo. Finally it is time. You swing your blade in an overhead arc, which ends in Margaret's heart. Alright. Now that the wife's out of the way. Where am I? Sybil! Am I not allowed to marry my satanic girlfriend? Is anybody else slightly bothered by the fact that everybody here is so young? Okay, there we go. That's slightly less unnerving. Okay, there we go. Oh, nope, she's a courtier. Nope, absolutely not. She's hot, she's 29, like, almost everything that I would want, but that's... Can we give her land? No, I cannot give her land. Alright, well, let's find... we'll go back to medieval Tinder and say... I mean, she's a courtier, so... Oh, no, that would work. So ideally we find somebody like young, hot, lustful. All of these are great traits. Well, that's lustful. Maybe something with better traits? Well, okay, so technically what happened was I imprisoned her for adultery, and because I'm a Satanist, I then sacrificed her. And I got 10 dark power for it. But yeah, this game... So, maybe one thing that's worth... I probably should have told you this ahead of time, Doey. This game is almost designed to make you do the most appalling things in the most casual manner possible. Like, this game is... Every terrible thing about this state of the world in a box. Oh yeah, I revel in it. Absolutely, like, it is the best feature of the game, but... yeah. So, I mean, it would have been awesome to marry my evil girlfriend, but, you know. What are you gonna do, right? I arranged for a scented love letter to be left on her pillow in an attempt to woo her, and it seems to have struck true, for she has left one on mine, confessing her attraction to me. Whoa, time to up the ante. I mean, The favorite I have ever had was I had an affair with my son's wife, sired a bastard, legitimized the bastard. The bastard then grew up, murdered my son, and inherited the kingdom. That is by far my favorite little emergent story that came out of Crusader Kings 2. All right, marriage. So she did come with a couple of weak claims. Daughter-in-law. Oh, no, this is, yeah, Loon? I'll take Loon. But he's fairly strong, so I will not take that. You ponder new ways to improve your realm. Court physician Piroki approaches you with an idea. My duke, if you were to institute a system of provincial apothecaries, the health of your subjects would improve significantly. In turn, they are sure to be more productive. So I'd empty my treasury. But yeah, nope, it's worth it. Oh, there's a Game of Thrones mod for this too, Domi. Alright, so what are we going to teach Helene? Well, she's going to, I mean, unfortunately for the majority of my audience, my daughters really are just people who I breed to be able to marry off and gain political power. So we tend to teach them diplomacy. I sent her a beautiful necklace covered her room with wildflowers. Today I found my bed full of wilted petals and a bent rusty nail on my pillow. She's feisty. I love a good challenge. Okay, so let's see what happened to these guys. Now is the time. Oh, nope, now is not the time to strike. I really want to go after this if I can, because they're so weak right now, but because Carl is in the middle of the war, I can't. Some carefully placed words, where they could be easily overheard by notorious gossips, can be more effective than a love letter. Or so I thought, but my query has not responded in any way. It's the clubfoot. Shame on her. I'm a sweet guy underneath. Perhaps I could use my extensive military knowledge to impress the Countess into liking me more. So, talk strategy? My military exploits are sure to impress her. Take some time to narrate. Oh, of course. I don't know, ladies. It's awesome when guys brag about themselves, right? That's how you woo women. I'm not sure if she's simply unimpressed in these matters or unimpressed with my delivery, but it is certain that the Countess has not responded well to my stories of military life as well as I had hoped. How could she not be impressed? I thought some carefully played... She cheated on me, Captain Shield! I need to preserve my honor. Oh, actually, I think that was a funny one that I missed out on, but... No, she's repelled by me. Yeah, I mean, she's paranoid, too. Can I seduce him? No. Okay, so first of all, let's try and recruit the daughter for Satan. I need another tactic. Oh, my daughter-in-law is unfaithful. Whoops. Meeting with the daughter of my rival. Oh, wait a minute. I would say it's false, but I can't. Meeting with Lutbega, I made sure to only cautiously question the absolute power of our almighty god. Thankfully, it seems that my carefully chosen words had the desired effect on her. From her glittering eyes, I got the distinct impression that she enjoyed the philosophical aspect of our conversation. Sensible girl. I've arranged a run-in with her on the palisades of her castle today. Her face lights up upon seeing me, and we stay out talking for hours. I offer her a protection spell in a leather pouch, of course. I do not explain the content, yet she smiles, accepting the token. She needs just one more little push. When I proceeded to reveal the brand on my lower arm, certain that the final hook would sink in, Lutbega inhaled sharply, worrying me for a second. You truly are a witch then, she says, eager and relieved. Can you help me bring down my enemies? She continues, eyes pleading. Oh, can we ever? Patience, sister. We will speak more soon. Write a letter to the coven about her induction. Priestess Issa will handle it from here. Alright, so I've lost my spy master, which is a shame because he was rather good at his job. So I just want to make sure that I don't have any other powerful vassals before I make the decision. I don't, although a lot of people really hate me. Oh, right, well, that's my son, so he will not be spy master. Otherwise, I'm going to wake up with, like, poison in my porridge. I am utterly amazed that this war is still going on. I thought carefully planned words would easily be over. Oh, well, she really doesn't like me. I suppose if I can't have the affair with her, I'll have the affair with the daughter. I mean, she's 17, I'm 38. Could possibly go wrong. I arranged the presented love letter to be left on her... I arranged for a scented love letter to be left on her pillow in an attempt to woo her. Today, I found the answering missive in the privy, and it did not smell of roses. So, time to move on. We'll focus on the daughter first. I shall bring all my seduction skills to bear on her until I have her wrapped around my finger. She's in hiding, probably because my son is really angry at her. Why hasn't she born him a son yet? Ah, because she is the unfaithful. I sent Lutberga a beautiful necklace and had her room covered with wildflowers. The gambit seems to have paid off, for I found a magnificent new saddle with her embossed seal in the stables today. Pretty clear symbolism, I'd say. Hey, our castle town's done, so that should improve our income. We're still only 3. It's getting slightly better. Okay. Yep. That's my daughter-in-law, damn it. Oh, Jesus, he's got the lover's pocket. That guy needs to die. Some carefully placed words where they can be easily overheard by notorious gossips can be more effective than a love letter. Lutberga must have gotten my message, for I found a lock of her hair wrapped in silk with my personal seal in my chamber, with her personal seal in my chambers today. Ha! I shall have her. I think probably, so I'm obviously going over time on this. I think I will take it to, we'll see if we can get it to the climax, if you will, and then we'll call it, so. Satan has seen your good work, Conjurer Handred, and the recruit you sent us, Lutbega, has now completed her induction into the Coven. I thank you for this contribution. It will not be forgotten. Signed, Grandmaster Sybil, and I gain 200 dark power. And we level up. I think I'm gonna lose everyone. It's like mass unfollows by the end of the... I'm attending a festive outing with Lutberga. Unfortunately, half the court is also here, and I am having trouble getting any time alone with my amorous quarry. Flirt with her discreetly. Despite never getting a chance to be alone with her, I do believe that my winning personality has impressed her. No success. Oh, never mind. She digs me. Honored Conjurer Hardrad, I hereby grant you permission to advance to the next rank within Lucifer's own. This is my privilege. So, as a priest, bonus to intrigue, I get Dark Divorce. So, if I have problems with my wife, that's a thing that can happen. Dark Healing, so I can use a ritual to heal myself, and Invite Disciple of Satan enables the decision to invite a member of Lucifer's own to join me at court in exchange for dark power. I could hear someone sneaking around inside and believed it to be a burglar. When I went downstairs, I discovered that Helen was opening one of my letters. I will not teach her to be less nosy, but she could use more practice reading. See if we can get her into Lucifer's own. Lords of West Frankia have approved the institution of the levy-shifted noble obligations law. Okay, so that'll mean I have to give up more troops to... the cause. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it was a rough day, Domi, but I'm glad we could help out. I made sure to attend a minor event in Bar de Luc in hopes of seducing her, but despite my best attempts, she remains unimpressed. I mean, it's 100%, you know? Need more practice. Admittedly, that's probably because we're both in Lucifer's own, but... Alright. She doesn't seem to be too impressed, so... This is very true. Okay, so I think moving back to our original tasks, we're more or less done with the recruitment. So I'm going to switch my my marshal into a more training role. So everybody's back to their sort of default abilities. One of the things I am sort of hoping to do over time is to boost up my existing holdings. The last castle town I'll build is actually in my capital, and the reason for that is I sold the land off to a burgher. That's going to be in effect for another year. Of course, this is the big trick, is that within a year I'll likely have the money, so I don't need to worry as much. So, a midnight snack. I managed to chance about Lutberga alone in the kitchen when she came down for her usual late snack. We've talked and laughed for hours, and I can tell that the attraction is growing. Hoping I've read her correctly, I lean in and whisper in her ear. I can confess my love, I can make a lewd suggestion, or quote love poetry. Obviously. Lutberga backed away from me, blushing and stammering, something about being sorry before rushing off. The virtue is strong with this one. Yep, Captain Shield. So eventually I do want to try and take... I would like to take Bohemia for myself. The challenge is that this war is actually keeping me from doing that, and they've become relatively stronger, so... although that might be changing. You'll notice they're giving up some territory. They're currently fighting King Carl, defending against the peasant revolts. Possible. Oh. Okay, this time we'll get her with the love poetry. Oof! The response from Lutberga M-Child wasn't quite what I expected. Apparently, I am to stay away forever. Alright, well, Back to the drawing board. So, Mom, I was doing so well. It was a love poet. I mean, the lewd suggestion apparently wasn't the problem, but as soon as I went for the love poetry, she's like, nope, don't even think of it. It's not a chance. Well, pondering over the guest list for the banquet, I wondered if I should invite one of my friends. Of course. I guess I did say I would finish at the time that the seduction was over, but I rushed around trying to get everyone to work harder, not smarter, and to get everything ready for the banquet when the guests started to arrive. I waited impatiently for Sybil, but still did my best to make sure every guest felt welcome and found its designated place at my table. She told me how glad my invitation had made her. Oh, now that I've been rejected by her daughter, I arranged for a wait, what? Repelled. I arranged for a This seems very weird in terms of the way that all of these are working, because apparently I'm repelled. I repelled her through this. Anyways, arranged for a scented love letter to be left on her pillow in an attempt to woo her. And it seems to have struck true, for she has left one on mine, confessing her attraction to me. Oh ho, time to up the ante? Yeah, I mean, might happen. Anyways, I think I am going to say that is it for tonight. So, in terms of what we wanted to do, we started off as a count. This is actually probably the fastest that I've moved from count to a duke. So, we began with two holdings, Weimar and Mersburg. Now, it's doubtful that I would ever have actually been able to achieve some of my conquests in sort of the tribal areas. But as it happens, my liege was trying to take away one of my titles, and so I accumulated some wealth in order to be able to resist any of those efforts. And then eventually I decided, well, why don't I just sort of barrel over and take them out? So I did. I wonder if I can ask for lift excommunication. Cost 25 piety. Base reluctance 50. Yeah, he's definitely going to need somebody better.
I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like
Vitigier Prime? I'm terribly sorry for pronouncing or mispronouncing your name. Thank you very much for that follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry, I want to recover this. So, essentially I said is like, okay, well, what are we, here's an example of sort of how I wind up making decisions in this game. It's like, okay, so we've now got a threat of a duke trying to revoke a title from us. It's less likely that I'm going to be able to try and take on these guys. They all had over 1,000, whereas I had about 600 in terms of strength. And I would constantly be watching my back if my liege were to try something for me, especially if I wound up buying a bunch of mercenaries, going in and then withdrawing them, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I want your territory. So I figured, okay, well, we got our CB for the title, we took it, and then we paid to become the duke. So in this case, we've got our nice little holding here. Now, in a perfect world, King Carl would not be at war with Grand Theft Chief Theodoric, and he definitely wouldn't be losing that war. There's a defensive pact against Francia. And I would have taken advantage of when Bohemia was 600 strength in terms of troops. What may wind up happening now is if I declare a holy war, It may be that all the other forces, or sorry, all the other co-religionists decide that they want to crush me like a bug. So essentially what it's been, one of the main reasons why I felt good about trying to take away the territory from my liege, even though they're also, I mean, they're not French, they're in the Kingdom of Francia, they're German. In this case, the tax income is 46.1. So in this case, it's like, well, really, this is just an expense to get me my highest value holding that I'll have for a while. And so in the absence of any other options to use my money for, I've just been slowly building up my infrastructure. Because I've wound up having so many kids, I did want to make sure, oh, hello. How'd you become Duke? Cool. Who's the mom? I need to figure out a way. Maybe I won't kill him, but like we'll find out a way to make sure that this holding winds up in my hands. Yeah, I don't have enough for the Tainted Touch. Surely there has to be other ways that I can wind up killing my kid. I can also probably... Oh no, I can't order him to take the vows because of... I don't think he's my vassal. Anyway, sorry, I did say I was going to wrap up. I'll figure this out later, but basically the idea here was consolidate my position. I obviously got a good income-producing asset in the absence of other things for me to do, you know, with relatively even strength neighbors. And again, an important thing to remember here is potential ally troops, which in this case would be 2578, so they would crush me like a bug. Oof, yeah. Yeah, basically I think if I'm going to be trying to take the tribal areas, I need to be bloated for bear. Yeah. So maybe the other way that I approach this is I go for a huge war chest, I hire the biggest mercenary army that I can, and I just go barreling into Silesia. And we take what we can. Anyways, so the idea here was, through circumstance, I wound up becoming the Duke of this area. I definitely still want to expand out at the expense of the tribal areas, but they've been doing a fairly good job of consolidating their power as well. What I may wind up doing is trying to break apart the relationships among the vassals. So pacts, yeah. So at least one of his stronger allies does not seem. I mean, he seems to hate the guy, to be totally honest. So we might be able to do something with that. But we'll figure this all out as the play goes by. I mean, the biggest thing is that there's things for me to do right now that don't involve driving east, but I would like to. Now, why would I like to? I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's not worth anything, but we'll do our best to bring civilization to the eastern lands at some point. As is always our way, we save. We'll do a quick resignation. Where are we? Well, we've got a score of 554. With a score of 554, you have accomplished nothing of note. We've ruled for 10 years, Not a very impressive rule, but we did become a duke, so that's something. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's find somebody to host. You know what? I quite like Outworld, and Outworld is not playing Mortal Kombat like he normally does. He's currently playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, it looks like. So I'd love it if you guys could come along. Thank you, Melemony. That's great to hear. I'd love it if you guys could come along and give a watch to my good friend Outworld. He is an Australian caster. He is somebody who does speedruns and challenges and such for Mortal Kombat, but definitely I know him from some more of his variety stuff. He's a really friendly guy. He's also been working on Talking on Cast, so I know you guys are really good at interacting. He really likes it when people chat, so if you guys are up for a little bit more Twitch, I would love it if you folks can come along and sort of help give him a little something to respond to. Obviously you don't have to, but it would mean a lot to me if you did that, because I know it's something that he's been trying to work on, and you guys are definitely very friendly to have inside of chat. I need to still record the next episode of The Elder Scrolls, so I'm going to try and do that tonight, but that's probably going to mean a late night for me, but I'll do my best. In the meantime, thank you very much, have a wonderful night, and I'll see you over at Outworld's place.